After the man lost his testicles, he found out it was a mistake. The cancer still spread everywhere. But he wasn't even angry. Instead, he clutched his wife's charm and laughed out loud because he felt only this cursed, lonely death could appease his late wife's soul. But when he opened his eyes, he saw the old window at home with that dusty wedding sign. He quickly searched the house and found Lin Qingsu on the bed. Her big eyes were full of despair. On her once flawless skin, there were bruises all over. Seeing her again, the woman he missed for a lifetime, he became so emotional that he rushed to embrace her. So much guilt and longing to say, but it all got stuck in his throat. Then he began to cry like a child. He had set her up to fall in the lake, exposing her to the whole village, while he rescued her. To save her reputation, she was forced to marry him. But since she entered his home, she never had a single good day. Amid his endless abuse, she jumped in the lake with their baby. When her brother pulled them out from the cold river, he finally woke up. He later rode the waves of the era to earn wealth for 10 lifetimes. But the woman who taught him to grow was long gone, just as he relished being reborn. A piercing scream rang out, "Don't touch me!" Seeing Lin Qingsu shaking like that, he suddenly remembered. At this moment, she'd borrowed money for baby food, but he snatched it for booze and came home drunk to abuse her. Thinking of this, he raised his hand and slapped himself hard a dozen times. Soon, blood dripped from his mouth. Lin Qingsu watched him quietly, with a cynical, bitter smile. She lost count of how many times this was. He'd always kneel and beg when sober, but within 2 days, his fists would fall on her again. She could endure his abuse in bed, but not her baby starving. The baby's weak crying brought a spark of life back to her beautiful eyes. She hurriedly dressed and held her daughter. But due to long-term malnutrition, she had no milk for the little one, who began to cry again. The crying snapped him out of it. He hopped up and grabbed his clothes. "Wait for me, wife. I'll go get something for our girl." He ran toward the village store. Old man Huang at the store saw him. "What booze do you want this time?" "Uncle Huang, rice cereal on credit." "I'll pay you back tomorrow." Hearing he wanted credit again, the man noted the slaps on his face. He didn't say a word, but grabbed a cereal for him. He thanked him and rushed home. When he entered the room, seeing his wife just as he left her,
his heart ached once again.
"Wife, I'm back with the food." Hearing those words, Lin Qingsu became alert. Her pale face was full of terror. "I'm warning you, don't sell my daughter, or I'll curse your family to end." Seeing this, he froze in his tracks.
He vaguely remembered this happening.
Originally, he'd planned to sell her to a couple, just to get money for booze. What a bastard I was. No wonder he died of cancer later. He totally deserved it. So he put the rice cereal on the old bed. "I swear I'll never sell our girl. I'll find work in town tomorrow." Then he turned and walked out. Once outside, he slapped himself a few more times. If he remembered correctly, this was the month she jumped in the lake with their girl. The mere thought made him tremble all over. It was getting late, and there was no food left. 20 minutes later, he reached the back mountain. He pulled the elastic from his waist and made a slingshot. Asterisk thwack. Asterisk he shot a pebble. A pigeon flapped its wings and flew. After he got rich in his last life, he fell in love with shooting. He played with slingshots for a while. After waiting in the grass, he finally netted a pheasant. Then he bagged a few pigeons. The pigeons were small, only weighing a pound or two. But the pheasant was a fat 5 pounds. He tied them up with vines and hung them on a branch. Just as he was about to head home, his back went light. They were gone. He broke into a cold sweat. "Is this a ghost?" Suddenly, the charm on his chest flashed. His wife had always worn this. Not jade, not plastic. Not until she committed suicide. Did she leave it by the lake? When he looked closer, the light was gone. He couldn't help but touch it. Next second, he entered a space. Looking at the area, it wasn't even as big as a room. After testing it a few times, he realized, hold the charm to go in, think about it to come out. With this secret weapon,
he could rise again in this life.
On the way home, many houses had electricity, but his home still used oil lamps. The famine years were over, yet they still lived, hand to mouth. He went to the kitchen. After it was completely dark, he brought some soup into the room. Chinking, time to eat. I made soup to help your milk, he called 3 times. Before she slowly walked out, seeing the bowl of soup, she didn't rush over. She just stood there, her eyes full of hatred. At that moment, looking at her patched clothes, his heart felt another pang of pain. In this era of scarcity, her beauty was still striking, but he had been such a jerk, taking her but not cherishing her, seeing how guarded she was. Though he wanted to eat with her, he knew if he stayed, she wouldn't touch the food. I'll eat in the kitchen. He turned and walked out. She stood there frozen, staring at that huge bowl of turtle dove soup. She felt like it all wasn't real. Is this a dream? Or is this my last meal before dying? Back then, whenever there was any food at home, you always made sure you ate first. He could barely drink the water used to wash the pot. So even though she was starving now, Lin Qingsu didn't dare dig in right away, not until she stepped out the door, and saw you squatting under the window, drinking soup, with a big wild pheasant hanging outside the kitchen. She guessed you must have gone hunting in the mountains. That's when Lin Qingsu turned back inside, picked up her bowl and started eating. After she finished her meal, under her wary stare, you took over washing the bowls and chopsticks. You used to be lazy. This might have been your first time doing housework for real. The very first time in this family. Once you finished all that, thinking about the crap you pulled earlier today, you heated up another pot of water, brought it inside and gently said, "Use this to wipe yourself down." Set down the basin after speaking, then turned and rushed out, sitting by the door. After a long while, he finally heard soft splashing from inside. You sat there and gazed up at the stars, thinking about how you need to find a way to make money tomorrow, so things at home can get better soon. It's already autumn now. In winter, it drops below -20 and water freezes instantly. Wife and kid need new cotton coats. Otherwise, they won't survive this winter. Once the water sound stopped, you headed back inside. Your sudden entrance startled Lin Qingsu, who backed away in fear. Stay back. Seeing that, you cursed yourself for being such a jerk before, and knew her heart won't heal overnight. So you softened your tone and told her, "I'm just here to take out the water." Then you picked up the basin and walked out. Lin Qingsu ignored you. As soon as you left, she hurried to get dressed. In the yard, you used the leftover hot water and quickly rinsed yourself off. After all, you spent hours lying in the grass for those turtle doves. Been out there a long time. After washing up, you sat down on the doorstep, thinking about your past life. There was a time. A few outsiders always wanted to go foraging in the mountains. They were afraid of getting lost, so they asked you, a guy with nothing to do, to guide them. Back then, you figured these city folks were just bored. But after watching them a lot, you learned how to pick wild dendrobium. Now you could dig some up and sell it yourself. That thought instantly fired you up. You tied up a torch, grabbed a few simple tools, then called into the house, "Jing Jing. Lock the door, I'm heading out." You ended up out all night. Didn't get home until almost 4 a.m. Luckily, you got pretty lucky. On your way down, you found a civet cat's den. Got a few newborn civet kittens out of it. Once home, you cleaned them up quickly. Kept one behind in the kitchen. Then took 2 baskets and headed to town. There's a market in town every other day. You found a busy spot, with plenty of people around. Took out the civet meat and pelts from the baskets. "Hey kid, this mountain game looks great." You thought if it didn't sell, you'd just do it all at home and share some with your brothers and sister. But you hadn't even finished shopping when someone asked about the civet meat's price. The old man and woman saw you, a young guy, tanned all over. Clear as day, you're from the mountains. Plus your prices were good, so they bought 2 right away. Back then, buying meat needed ration coupons. Only mountain game like this could be bought freely, going home to treat their little grandson. On their way out, the old lady tugged her husband and asked for all the civet pelts too. Sighed she'd make gloves for her grandson. So in less than 2 hours, you'd sold all the civets. After that, you took the dendrobium you picked yesterday and went to the oldest pharmacy in town. When you pulled out your goods, the old man behind thick glasses stared intently. He took the dendrobium carefully, looked it over up and down, then gestured a price. "Brother, that's my offer." Seeing his price, you frowned a little. Did he think you were some dumb hillbilly? So you reached to take your stuff back. The old man quickly stopped you, stroking his goatee. Brother, if you're not happy with the price, we can talk. Let's negotiate. 6 big bills. That's all I can offer. Even if you accidentally broke it, it's worth way more than this. But you needed cash right away. Wife and kids still hungry at home. After thinking a moment, you agreed. Then you went to buy meat and flour. Ran to 2 different supply co-ops. Before finally getting that rare milk powder of the time. On your way home, you thought of your wife's old, patched up clothes from yesterday? All those repairs on them. So you went to the only small state-run shop in town. Heading home, you made a detour to find an old hunter in his 70s. Gave him a pile of food, and finally traded for his prized shotgun. The deal was done. Back then, you needed coupons just to buy meat. If you really want to eat meat freely, you had to do it yourself. Almost home, you finally noticed. Lin Qingsu was out in the field, working with the baby on her back. And your older brother Zhao Zhengxing stormed over, furious right away. Where the hell have you been? Your wife's working the field alone. Looking at your big brother in front of you. Your nose stung. I went to town for work and bought some meat and flour. Bring your wife and kids over for dinner tonight? Hearing that, your brother looked you up and down, full of doubt. He noticed the mud on your pant legs. Then the baskets you were carrying, all full. Our sister-in-law just made a pot of cornbread for lunch. Have your wife take some back later? We won't come for dinner. Take better care of your wife from now on. You didn't say anything else, just nodded, and headed home with your stuff. If you want to win your wife's heart, you have to feed her well first. So you started getting busy in the kitchen. By the time it was getting dark, Lin Qingsu came home carrying a few cornbread buns. As soon as she stepped into the yard, she smelled the aroma of meat from the kitchen. So she hurried over to the kitchen door, saw you standing at the rough stove, busy cooking. After a whole day of work, Lin Qingsu was starving. She put away the cornbread buns and went into the bedroom. Put the sleeping baby in the crib. Just turned my head. Saw a can of formula on the table. Lin Qingsu instantly felt her blood rush to her head. She ran into the kitchen and slapped you hard. Did you go force my mom to give you money again? Why are you such a jerk? Caught off guard by your wife's words, you slowly remembered that this jerk, had actually threatened your mother-in-law with a knife before. For money, so you quickly denied it. I don't have any money. This is what I earned today, you said, reaching into your pants. Seeing this scene, Lin Qingsu got even angrier, thinking seriously right now. Still thinking about that? So she slapped you again. After 2 slaps in a row, you didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Seeing Lin Qingsu didn't stop, you quickly pulled out 5 big bills from your pants. Babe, this is the money I earned today. Take it. Lin Qingsu saw the cash stuffed into her hand. The world started spinning for her. Seeing your wife about to fall, you tried to help, but Lin Qingsu slapped your hand away. She just couldn't believe someone as lazy as you could make so much in one day. What kind of shady stuff did he do out there? What the heck should I do now? Life's really unlivable. You noticed Lin Qingsu totally didn't buy your story. You almost dropped to your knees. I went up the mountain last night to pick wild dendrobium, and just happened to find a civet den. I exchanged those for 6 big bills. Spent 1 on food. This is all that's left. As soon as she heard dendrobium, Lin Qingsu's eyes lit up a bit. Ginseng up north, dendrobium in the south. That stuff's super valuable for medicine. You can sell it, but it only grows deep in the mountains. It's really hard to find, especially in the middle of the night. But thinking carefully, there really were bloodstains by the well this morning, and civet meat cooking in the pot. Maybe she was wrong about him. But how do you even know what dendrobium is? With Lin Qingsu staring at you, you raised your right hand. I swear I didn't do anything bad. Or may I never have kids? Seeing your wife's breathing calm down, and her eyes not so fierce, you finally breathed a sigh of relief. Qingsu put the money away. I'll go give some meat to my brother's family. Let them have some fresh stuff. Even though it's safer to keep things hidden, handing money to your wife means handing over the family reins. Then you carried a plate of stir-fried civet and a pot of fish tofu soup. put them on the living room table, then went back to the kitchen for a big bowl of meat, and headed toward your brother's place. On the way, you also paid old Wang back for the rice paste and the booze from before. Meanwhile, Lin Qingsu stared at the cash in her hand, hurried back to her room. For over 2 years since getting married, you've always been taking her money. This is the first time you ever gave money willingly. So she split the cash into 5 parts and hid them separately. Once that was done, she heard steady footsteps came out of the room, looked at the hot dishes on the table, and froze for a second, then checked the kitchen. Found the flour jar more than half full, and the oil can full too. Even some bacon hanging from the beam. Has he really changed? At this moment, Lin Qingsu wasn't sure. After all, a leopard can't change its spots. When Lin Qingsu sat down, you picked out a pheasant leg for her. I'm heading up the mountain early tomorrow. Before winter hits, I'll go pick as much dendrobium as I can, since that's the fastest way to make money for now. When everything opens up, we can use the cash to invest. After hearing you, Lin Qingsu was stunned for a second. She nodded, didn't say a word. Even if you got lucky last night and found a dendrobium, there's no way you'll be that lucky all the time. Lin Qingsu thought about telling you, if you want to make money, get a real job. Even if it's just a few cents a day, it's better than nothing. But thinking about how stubborn you are, as long as you don't go out gambling, she'd let you drink as you wish. She picked up her chopsticks, trying to put the pheasant leg back. Seeing this, you quickly used the kid as an excuse. Babe, you're too skinny. Eat more or there won't be enough milk for the baby. No formula can beat breast milk. Plus, formula is expensive and hard to get. This is fish and tofu soup. It helps increase milk. This made Lin Qingsu glare at you, her knuckles white on the chopsticks. But she didn't refuse again. You'd been busy all day and night. You're dead tired. But at least the families finally got food. After you finished eating, you said, babe, I'm going to bed. Then you got up and went into the bedroom and fell asleep right away. After Lin Qingsu washed the dishes, she saw the clothes you left on the floor and frowned, then picked them up and washed them by moonlight. Once she finished, she dragged her tired body to the bedroom, accidentally kicked a basket. When Lin Qingsu looked down, it was a brand new set of women's clothes and 3 tiny outfits for babies. She stared at your sleeping face for a long while. She really couldn't figure you out. You slept like the dead that night. Even though your daughter woke up twice, you never woke once, not until morning. Did you finally open your eyes grudgingly? You rolled over and saw Lin Qingsu curled up with her back to you. She was only wearing an old little vest. It made you drool a bit. After all, since Lin Qingsu died last time, you hadn't been with another woman, so you pulled her into your arms. It all felt like a dream, just too unreal. Right as you were about to kiss her, your wife stiffened up instantly, clearly didn't want your touch. So you suppressed your bitterness and got out of bed. Just have to put up with it for now. You grabbed the clean clothes from the line, didn't care that they were still damp, and put them on right away. Then, you quietly took the stuff out of the basket and put it on the table. Just then, Lin Qingsu sat up in bed, gave you a cold look and said, if you really want to change, go find a job. If you're willing to work, you can make $12 a month. That way we get by. Hearing your wife take the initiative to talk to you, you felt happy inside, knowing Lin Qingsu was thinking about you. But life gave you another chance. You have to save up your startup money before the restrictions are lifted all the way. Last time, after your wife and daughter left, you were like a stray dog. You wandered around for a while. Later, you met someone who helped you. That's how you got a service job at the state-run store. Because you were smooth talking, you worked your way up to manager. It was also because of that. You gotta know some big shots. This life, I need to earn my first bucket of gold on my own as fast as possible. So, hunting and gathering dendrobium is the quickest way to make money right now. Even more important, I've got memories from my past life now. I know exactly where to find dendrobium. With a golden opportunity like this, how could I let it pass by? The tricky part is I don't know how to explain to my wife why I keep insisting on going up the mountain for dendrobium. Lin Qingsu sees you staying quiet for too long and knows you're being stubborn again. So she just pulls up the blanket and lies back down. Kitchen. There's still some cornbread left for you in the pot on the stove. Hearing what she said, you raise your brows. You can't hide your happiness. Then you walk to the bed and give Lin Qingsu a quick kiss on the cheek. Wife, I talked to my big brother yesterday. Today you don't have to help them out. As for the pork in the kitchen, when you're free, just take half to my mother-in-law. When Lin Qingsu sees you come closer, she thinks you got mad at her again and are about to hit her. But she didn't expect you to kiss her by surprise. She couldn't really hear what you said or see clearly. You even kissed your daughter before you left. By the time she snaps out of it, you're already gone. In the dim room, only she and the sleeping daughter are left. Even though it's still early, she keeps tossing and turning and just can't fall back asleep. She ends up lying in bed till the sun's way up. Then she hears someone knocking outside. Second sister-in-law, you came so early. What's up? Liu Gihua's eyes dart around the kitchen with a sly grin. Hey, fourth sister-in-law. I heard from Big Sis you all ate meat last night. Did your husband win big gambling or what? She doesn't wait for a reply. Her feet take her right to the kitchen door like they've got eyes. She moves straight to the kitchen. Geez, did fourth brother go steal or rob or something? That much meat must have cost a fortune. They haven't seen meat in almost half a year. Even the kids have been whining for days, but they didn't buy any. She finally tears her eyes away, but then she spots, on the dark wall, half a wild pheasant hanging there. Now she really can't keep her cool. Fourth sister-in-law, you better keep an eye on your husband. Gambling too much might even get sent to reform through labor. Lin Qingsu hears this, and her face turns gloomy. Second sister-in-law, that's not fair. If he breaks the law, the police will handle it. No need for you to worry. Liu Giwa wants to say more, but then her eyes roll, like she just thought of something, and she swallows her words. Don't be upset, second sister-in-law. I'm just worried about fourth brother too. My husband and him are brothers after all. My boy Xiaobao has been begging for meat. He even cried from craving it. How about lending me 5 pounds of pork? My husband can pay you back later. After spending over 2 years together, Lin Qingsu knows exactly what kind of person the second sister-in-law is. Whatever she takes is like throwing meat buns to a dog never coming back. First thing out the mouth is 5 pounds of pork. Not just that I can't decide to lend it. Even if I was in charge, I wouldn't agree to that. I can't make that call. Second sister-in-law, wait till my husband comes back and ask him yourself. Saying this, she walks over and bolts the kitchen door. Liu Gihua sees her attitude, and she's not happy about it. Fine, I'll talk to your husband when he's back. Just remember to tell him to bring the meat over to my house. As she turns to leave, Liu Gihua's fake smile can't hold anymore. Meanwhile, up the mountain, close to noon, you use your past life's memory and finally find a wild dendrobium after a lot of effort. After yesterday's experience digging in the dark, this time, once you see most of the roots exposed, you stop. And this one is way bigger than yesterday's. It's not until it gets dark that you carefully dig out the whole thing. Just as you're about to head down the mountain, you suddenly run into a sika deer. Looks like it came to eat the dendrobium. Seeing that, you quickly pull out the hunting rifle you traded for yesterday. In a second, the gunshot blasts through the woods. It scares the birds and they scatter everywhere. Back home, Lin Qingsu has already finished dinner. She makes formula for the baby, but still doesn't see you come back. She frowns with worry. Dendrobium is really not easy to find. He'd be better off learning a real skill. While Lin Qingsu's lost in thought, you quietly walk into the yard. Only when you take things out of the basket does Lin Qingsu hear something inside. She comes out holding the baby. Go wash your hands and eat. She says this and goes back inside with the baby. You notice your wife peeks into the basket, but doesn't say anything. After going in, you see hot food on the table. Your eyes sting with tears. If only you could go back in time. You would have beat up your old self for not cherishing such a beautiful and good wife. You walk to the table and sit down. Eat quickly and heartily. Wife, I'm stopping by the village chief's after dinner. I'll see if we can fix up the wiring these few days. Hearing that, Lin Qingsu pauses for a second while patting the baby. She can't help but bring up the power. That's a monthly electricity bill from now on. Then she sneaks a glance at you, afraid you'll get mad, and flip the table. You catch Lin Qingsu's worried look right away. So you put down your chopsticks. You carry the basket to the door. and call your wife in. I dug this up today. I'll take it to the pharmacy in town someday. Should get a good price. But Lin Qingsu just stares at the dendrobium. She looks up at you and asks in disbelief, "Did you really dig this up?" Seeing her reaction, you explain, "I swear I didn't steal or rob this. This is honestly what I got after a day in the mountains." Lin Qingsu sees you look serious, so she finally nods, half believing. "By the way, our second sister-in-law was here today. She wants to borrow 5 pounds of pork." Lin Qingsu's face falls, obviously unhappy. Guessing it's because you weren't home, and second sister-in-law gave her a hard time. So you say, "Serious. From now on, you call the shots at this house. Money and stuff are all yours to handle. If you don't want to lend, then we don't." Hearing that leaves Lin Qingsu confused. So she hesitates a while, then softly says, "I don't want to lend. Second sister-in-law always talks about borrowing, but she never gives it back. She's borrowed from us plenty of times before. No more lending, okay?" After hearing that, a smile of relief shows on your face. You gently tap her nose lovingly. "If you don't want to lend, we won't. We don't need to put up with her." When you smile like this, Lin Qingsu is caught off guard. She quickly picks up the baby and goes to the bedroom. After your stomach's full, you wash the dishes, then cut off 1/2 pound of pork, and sneak out after dark. When the chief, Wang Xuanju, sees it's you, his dark old face is surprised. When he sees the meat, his wrinkled face breaks into a big smile. "Jianguo, what brings you to see me so late?"
He asks, taking the meat from you.
"I want to put up electric lights at home. Can you help me out when you have a chance?" "Sure, I can arrange that tomorrow." Hearing that, you just nod and thank him before leaving. But when you enter the kitchen, you see Lin Qingsu eating meat bones in the dark kitchen. Eating leftovers by herself like that makes your heart ache. It feels like your whole body freezes up, like all your blood stops moving. Then, with a hoarse voice, you suddenly asked, "What are you doing?" Lin Qingsu immediately recognized your voice. She shuddered in fright. The bone she was about to eat slipped from her mouth and fell to the ground. She immediately looked at you in the yard with terror on her face. "Don't hit me, these are all the leftovers you gnawed on. I just thought it was a shame to throw them away." At that moment, you felt completely devastated. You'd never felt so defeated. You immediately dropped to your knees before him. But Lin Qingsu was so scared she screamed out loud, "What are you doing?" Lin Qingsu lowered her gaze, looking at the man kneeling in front of her, until she felt something warm and damp on her chest. She actually started to cry. Her long-closed heart seemed to soften for a moment. And seeing his wife so terrified just eating his leftovers, it felt like a knife was stabbed right into your heart. So you stood up from the ground, cupping your wife's fair cheeks in your hands. You lowered your head and kissed the tears from the corner of her eyes. "Honey, go to the main hall and wait for me. I'll bring in the food when it's ready. You are my greatest benefactor." Lin Qingsu didn't understand what you meant. Blushing deeply, she slipped out of the kitchen like she'd seen a ghost. You stayed in the kitchen busy for a while. Soon, a fragrant plate of sautéed pork slices came out of the wok. He thought the coarse cornbread was too harsh on his throat, but his wife treasured it so much she couldn't bear to eat a single bite. Just as you walked into the inner room, you saw a beautiful snowy white back. In an instant, blood surged to your lower abdomen. You walked over in a few quick steps and took her into your arms from behind. "Wife, don't ever leave me again." Lost in passion, Lin Qingsu realized for the first time that doing such things could actually feel so comfortable and delightful. Except right after the wedding. This was the first time the two had been so intimate, sleeping together. Thinking about what happened last night, Lin Qingsu's cheeks instantly grew hot. She turned her head, and when she saw the child on the small bed, her face turned pale with fright. Last night, she didn't hear her daughter crying even once. Looking at his wife, her expression suddenly changed. She stared straight at their daughter's side. She quickly got out of bed and rushed over to her daughter's little bed. She saw that her daughter was already awake and staring back with big bright eyes, smiling. Looking at your little girl at this moment, your heart completely melted. You carefully picked her up into your arms, returned to the bedside, and saw your daughter still grinning, perfectly fine. The huge weight in Lin Qingsu's heart finally lifted. Her nerves relaxed at last. Her eyes reddened all of a sudden. She almost burst into tears. upset with herself for sleeping so deeply last night. Such a little child. If something had happened, how would he have gone on? Wife, stay with Nua Nguyen a bit longer. I'll go make you some breakfast. Saying that, you picked up the underwear that had been thrown on the floor and put them on immediately. Lin Qingsu quickly checked the diaper under her daughter. Although it wasn't perfectly in place, it was actually clean. No wonder she hadn't heard her daughter cry last night. So it was this jerk who had gotten up to take care of her. Since having the baby, it was the first time he had taken the initiative to care for their child. Has he really changed? Can I trust him again? Elsewhere, you were busy in the kitchen as usual. When your wife walked out holding the baby, the food was ready. There was tofu, baby greens, cornmeal porridge, and coarse cornbread. You took the baby from Lin Qingsu's arms, still bare-chested. Wife, go wash up first. But Lin Qingsu was still a little worried. Yet seeing how clumsy you were, holding such a little baby, she couldn't help but burst out laughing. This is your own daughter, not a tiger. She won't bite you. While you were eating, village chief Wang Xuanju and the electrician arrived. As soon as they came into the yard, they saw Lin Qingsu sitting at the table in the yard having breakfast. You were wandering around the yard shirtless, holding your baby. He noticed the neat ring of bite marks on your inner arm and smiled knowingly. Jianguo, you haven't even finished eating yet. You didn't expect Wang Xuanju to find someone so early. You led the village chief and the electrician to the gate outside the yard, chit-chatted for a bit. When Lin Qingsu finished eating and went back inside, you finally handed the baby back to your wife. Then, from the loose shorts, you pulled out a pack of Da Qiamen cigarettes. The village chief looked at the cigarette in his hand, showed his yellow teeth, grinning, and said, "You've really made it, you brat. You're doing well now. A pack of these costs 0.4 yuan. The electrician next to him smiled even more honestly, stuck the cigarette behind his ear, hoisted the ladder, and went to the back of the house. What a great deal for this job. He usually can't bring himself to smoke 0.4 yuan cigarettes. This family is really generous. Once the electricity was connected, you went back inside. Just as you walked in, an article of clothing flew toward you. Before you realized what was happening, you heard Lin Qingsu say, "Hurry up and put your clothes on." Going around shirtless, what do you look like? There were a few fresh scratch marks on your back now, left by Lin Qingsu last night. Both the village chief and electrician saw them, but they didn't mention it. And you didn't know anything about it, just wandering around shirtless, which made Lin Qingsu so embarrassed. She wanted to find a hole to hide in. With outsiders present, she was too shy to remind you. Only after you went up the mountain did Lin Qingsu cover her burning face and take a long moment to compose herself. Then she took down the bedding to wash. She moved her child's bed out to the yard, put the baby in it, filled a basin with water, and got ready to wash the bedding. Just then, Mother Lin arrived carrying a basket. It was filled with eggs and a small piece of meat. When Lin Qingsu saw her mother, she quickly wiped her hands and stood up. "Mom, what are you doing here?" Mother Lin set her basket down in the kitchen. Her eyes looked her daughter up and down. Seeing her daughter's worn, ill-fitting clothes, her eyes grew moist. She quickly turned away, picked up her granddaughter from the little bed and said, "We just finished up at home. I came to check on you." She looked around at the shabby 3-room mud brick house, and her heart was filled with regret. She regretted ever agreeing to this marriage. She felt she'd ruined her daughter's life. "Qingsu, your mom has thought it through. If you really can't go on with him, just get a divorce. You're young. You have your whole life ahead of you. You can't waste your life on a man like him." When Lin Qingsu heard her mother say this, she was stunned for a moment. She sat on the stool for a long time without saying a word. That day, when you took away the money she'd borrowed from her family to buy rice cereal for her daughter, and used it to buy alcohol, she really felt utterly hopeless. Just being with you, she saw no hope at all. She even thought of dying. She'd wanted to jump into the reservoir with her daughter. But after you sobered up, first you were full of regret, slapped yourself over a dozen times, then rushed out to buy rice cereal for the child. These past few days, he really seemed like a changed person. He stopped hanging out with bad company and hasn't touched a drop of alcohol. "I'm not even gambling now." Mother Lin watched her daughter, who kept her head down and didn't speak. She thought her daughter was worried about the child. She said, "If you want to keep the child, Mom can help you raise them later on." As she spoke, she hesitated. If you stay home to raise a child, it will be hard to remarry. In these times, divorce is extremely rare. No matter how hard or difficult life gets, a woman has to grit her teeth and get through it. Hearing her mother even consider the matter of remarrying after divorce and planning everything for her, Lin Qingsu took the child from her mother's arms. "Mom, I'm not thinking about divorce right now." He seems to be slowly changing for the better now. As she spoke, she tugged at the brand new little clothes on the child. "He earned the money to buy these clothes for the child. He also bought a set for me, but I couldn't bring myself to wear it." Mother Lin looked at her daughter, whose fair and tender face had a blush she hadn't seen in a long time. Her eyes also seemed to light up again. She couldn't help but be momentarily stunned. She had clearly overheard yesterday that a Mazzy next door had said he owed outsiders 50 yuan. Such a large debt, and he wasn't doing anything proper. How could he possibly pay it back? It was precisely because of this that she was worried. She came over with things early in the morning to check on them, but her daughter's expression didn't seem fake. If he really turned over a new leaf, she would find a way, even if it meant selling everything, to help him pay back this money. Thinking of this, she didn't tell you what she had heard, fearing he would quarrel with you over it. She collected her thoughts. With red-rimmed eyes, she nodded contentedly. If he can change, that would be good. Then I'll be at ease. As she spoke, she raised a hand to wipe away the tears streaming from her eyes. Meanwhile, you, who had just gone up the mountain, were chewing on a multi-grain steamed bun. You were calculating how much it would cost to build a 2-story house now. Roughly how much money would be needed, based on the price of Dendrobium nobile that you could currently dig up. After building the house, you would still have a considerable sum of money for this era. A very substantial savings. After all, at this time, there weren't many 10,000 yuan households. Thinking that you would definitely be living in the village for the next 2 years, you decided to improve the living conditions first. The 3 dilapidated adobe houses your family currently lived in. After entering them, you, with your height, couldn't even stand up straight. The indoors were incredibly dusty, with debris falling everywhere. It really wasn't a place for people to live. At this moment, you had no idea that your mother-in-law was discussing with your wife whether or not to get a divorce. If you knew this, you probably wouldn't have the mind to go up the mountain to dig Dendrobium nobile recently. After all, having lived another life, making money was very important to you. But nothing was more important than your wife and child. You held the money-making methods from your previous life. But that couldn't compare to the urgency of this very moment. Seeing that it was almost noon, you didn't even bother to eat lunch and hurried back home, afraid that if you ate one more bite, your daughter would have one less bite to eat. Lin Qingsu couldn't stop her. She had no choice but to take down the hanging meat from the kitchen and cut off a large portion with one slice. She grabbed it and chased after her. "Mom, take this back for my brother, and his wife to eat." Mother Lin saw such a large piece of meat and waved her hands repeatedly, refusing to take it. Afraid that you would find out she was giving so much to her maiden family and hit her daughter again. She was even more afraid her daughter wouldn't have enough to eat and would suffer hardship. "You two keep it and eat it. We're not lacking food at home. Look how skinny you are. You need to nourish yourself more. Otherwise, where will the baby get milk from?" Mother Lin ultimately didn't take the meat. She walked away step by step, carrying her basket. Lin Qingsu stood at the doorway, watching her mother walk further and further away, until she could no longer see her. Only then did she turn around and go into the kitchen with the meat. Zhang Galan from next door was about the same age as Lin Qingsu, but she had married and moved here 2 years earlier than Lin Qingsu. Her skin was dark, and she was gnawing on a raw radish. She was leaning over the wall. "Sis, you don't go out all day. It's all over town out there. Your second sister-in-law was beaten up by your second brother last night." The crying and shouting were heard by several families. Lin Qingsu, who had just walked out of the kitchen, sat down on a stool in the yard. She responded with half-hearted replies, seeing that she wasn't very talkative. Zhang Galan pulled up a stool and sat down in front of her laundry basin. She lowered her voice and whispered, "Everyone outside is saying that your second brother's eldest child, Dabao, is not your second brother's." As soon as Lin Qingsu heard this, the work in her hands immediately stopped. She looked up at Zhang Gilan. "It's your eldest brother's kid." Zhang Gilan saw the confusion in her eyes, stuffed the remaining radish into her pocket, and with a gossiping expression, whispered softly into her ear. Lin Qingsu was completely stunned after hearing everything. She really couldn't believe such a thing existed. She used to respect this eldest brother quite a bit, thinking he was honest and trustworthy, and fair in his dealings. He really acted like an older brother. But after hearing this, she felt somewhat disgusted. How could such a thing happen? Zhang Gilan seemed very pleased with her reaction, and patted the young wife who came from the city. "All right, I need to go home and cook for my husband. I won't chat with you any longer." That evening you returned. Very late. This time coming back. You saw the lights on at home from afar. You couldn't help but sigh. Electric lights are indeed much brighter than kerosene lamps. Lin Qingsu saw you come back, and quickly served the dishes that were heating in the pot, along with white steamed buns. She brought them out. She casually asked, "Why are you back so late today?" Noticing some dirt on your body, she put down the dishes and started brushing the mud off you. You quickly stopped her, then turned and bolted the door to the main hall. Then you pulled something out from the pile of grass in your basket. You carefully placed it on the table. You had dug up Dendrobium nobile, and on your way back, you stumbled upon an unexpected find. You didn't tell your wife that you had slipped and fallen, and that's how you found this thing. It took a lot of effort to climb back up, which was why you returned so late. The price of this item was no lower than Dendrobium nobile now. It was sold by the gram. It was a small windfall. You planned to have a good intimate time with your wife tonight, and not go to the mountain tomorrow. You'd first go and sell the goods you had. Lin Qingsu looked at the dark brown object he had placed on the table, something shaped a bit like ginger. She seemed to have seen this in a book, and asked with uncertainty, "Is this He Shou Wu?" Her tone filled with disbelief. You hadn't expected your wife to be so knowledgeable. Most people in the village still didn't know how valuable this stuff was. Otherwise, so many treasures on the mountain would have been collected by now. Dendrobium and polygonum can stay precious for another 10 years or so. After that, with improved cultivation techniques, all these can be grown artificially. They'll become common in the market, so they won't be rare anymore. But even so, the price of wild rare herbs will still be ridiculously high, because you simply can't buy wild ones at all. You flash a big bright smile, and pull your lovely wife into your arms. You lower your head and plant a kiss on her fair cheek. Looking into her sparkling eyes, you say, "Yep, it's polygonum. I'll take you and the kid to town for a stroll. And by the way, sell these treasures to the pharmacy." As soon as she hears you're taking the child out, Lin Qingsu freezes, thinking about how you said before you'd sell your daughter to that childless family in town. She still feels uneasy inside. Who knows if they really can't have kids, or they want to buy a child bride. She breaks free from your arms, and warily says, "The girl is still too young. The two of us won't go. You hurry up and wash your hands. Get ready for dinner." You notice right away your wife is acting strange. You originally wanted to take her out for some fresh air, maybe buy her some new winter clothes. But seeing her on guard again, it's clear she fears you're up to no good about your daughter again. With all the terrible things you've done, how could she possibly let go of her heart so easily? Her trust has already been used up. You'll have to rebuild it slowly. You take off your shirt with mud spots. Go outside to wash your face quickly, then come back in and sit down. That's when you finally notice the food on the table. A plate of golden scrambled eggs, and a small dish of leftover stir-fried pork from breakfast. Did he not even have any veggies for lunch? If he keeps scrimping and saving like this, when will he ever be able to fatten her up? Clearly, he needs to earn more money soon. Only then can she finally feel secure. "Wife, where did the eggs come from?" Lin Qingsu lowers her head and serves you a bowl of noodle soup. "Not long after you left, my mom came by. She brought them. When my mom mentioned the divorce, she didn't say a word about it. When he hears they're from his mother-in-law, he remembers when she asked him for money for booze, feeling awkward and too embarrassed to face her. He didn't even ask why his mother-in-law came by. He's just thinking, whenever Ming sells these goods, the first thing to do is pay back the money borrowed from his mother-in-law. Pay her back. You pull your wife closer and have her sit down. Eat up, you say, handing her a bun. She still couldn't bring herself to use white flour, so she made these mixed grain buns instead. You grab a cornmeal bun and start devouring it. Lin Qingsu takes a small bite of her bun, stealing a glance at the man before her. If only he could stay like this forever. She just doesn't know how long this will last. While the two of you are eating, there's a knock at the gate. Fourth brother, it's a Liu. Come out. We're one short for our game. The guys are waiting for you to drink and play. Hearing that voice, Lin Qingsu's face turns pale instantly. She stares straight at you, terrified you'll do what you always did, and head out to drink and gamble with them. When you hear that voice, you pause for a moment, then realize who it is. You put down your chopsticks and look up, seeing your wife's pale, frightened face. You quickly get up and pull her into your arms. Honey, what's wrong? Are you not feeling well? Your voice is full of worry and tension. Lin Qingsu, held tight in your embrace, clutches your thin tank top tightly with her slender fingers. Her lips tremble slightly. Are you going to drink and gamble again?
Hearing this,
You finally realize why she's so upset. She's afraid you're falling into your old ways. You rest your chin on her soft hair, unconsciously tightening your hold, pulling her a bit closer. She feels so incredibly thin in your arms. Since she married you, she hasn't had a single day of peace. Even a full meal was a luxury. And yet, she still held on to a glimmer of hope for you, wanting nothing more than a real life together. You take a deep breath, forcing back the sting in your eyes, and comfort her in a low, raspy voice. Don't worry, I'm not going. I'll go send them away right now. I'm done messing around with them. Sitting on your lap, Lin Qingsu hears your words, then leans back to stare at you searchingly. Really? You're not going? She asks. You look down, meeting her anxious, questioning eyes. You wish you could show her your heart, to prove you've truly changed for the better. You can't help but peck her on the nose, feeling your warm, steady breath. You promise, I'm really not going. Trust me, I'll tell them to get lost. You gently place her back on her stool. All right, keep eating. I'll be right back. As you stand up, you realize she is still, tightly clutching your tank top. If those three guys outside weren't such bad news, you'd almost want to take her with you, just so she could watch. You turn them down yourself, and finally put her mind at ease. You lean down, kiss the top of her head again, trying to soothe her. Your large, rough hand gently pats her thin back. Only then does she slowly let go. You straighten up and head out with firm, heavy strides. Reaching the courtyard gate, you pull the wooden door open. When the men outside see you, that guy Liu gives a sleazy grin. He cracks a crude joke. Fourth brother, this isn't like you. Your wife just finished her recovery, and you can't even get out of bed? It's been days. Why haven't you come for a drink? Hearing that filth, your brow furrows with pure rage. Damn it, you growl. Watch your mouth when you speak to me. If you can't talk right, then shut your trap. The other two were laughing along, but seeing your expression, their smiles vanish instantly. They try to play peacemaker. Fourth brother, he's just got a big mouth. Don't take it personally. Come on, let's go grab a drink. One reaches out to put an arm around you. You brush his arm away, glancing coldly at the other two. If it's about drinking or gambling, don't bother coming back. I'm done with all that. Seeing you like this, they look like they've seen a ghost. They look at each other, completely stunned. But that sleazy Liu, still wearing his foul grin,
keeps pushing his luck.
Is she keeping you too busy in bed? Since she's all recovered now, why don't you let us brothers have a go? Before he can finish, you kick him hard. Your foot lands right on his chest, sending him flying onto his back. He groans, sprawled on the ground. You stride forward, pinning him down with a foot between his legs. Leaning over, your eyes full of menace, you stare the bastard down. Next time you spout filth like that, I'll sew both your mouths shut. And I'll break your third leg too. You apply more pressure with your foot, grinding it down as he lies there. ignoring the pain in his chest. He desperately tries to push your foot away. He howls in terror. Fourth brother. I'm sorry. I won't say it again. The other two are scared out of their wits. They can't even utter a word. You're radiating such pure fury that you look terrifying in the dark. None of them dare to step in. They've been afraid of you since childhood. When you get into a fight, you're a ruthless, desperate man. But this is the first time they've seen you this angry, like a starving tiger ready to kill. It sends shivers down their spines. Afraid Aliu's screaming would bring your wife out, and not wanting her to see this violent side. You didn't want to scare her. If she became afraid of you, over a piece of trash like this, everything would be ruined. You straighten up, glaring down at Aliu on the ground, and pull your foot back. The other two, feeling relieved, quickly haul Aliu up. They stammer, fourth brother, we're leaving now. As soon as they're gone, you let go of your anger. You walk back into the yard, bolting the door behind you. Inside, Lin Qingsu had been waiting anxiously. Ever since you left, she was on pins and needles, every second feeling like an eternity. Seeing you hadn't come back, her heart was nearly sinking, though her stomach was growling. Even with the hot food on the table, she couldn't eat a single bite. In just these few days, seeing you slowly change for the better, without realizing it, she had started to hope again. She didn't expect wealth or fame, just a stable, peaceful life together. But if you went back to your old ways, what would she do? The baby is still so small. No way I could take him to work. Is a divorce really the only way? She was spacing out when she heard steady footsteps. Her eyes instinctively turned toward the sound. His tall figure stepped in from the moonlight. At that moment, Lin Qingsu's lifeless eyes suddenly lit up. He actually didn't go out with those punks. She was still dazed. As you walked up behind her, you leaned down and pulled her into your arms, kissing her fair cheek gently. What's wrong with your man? I was only gone for a bit. Don't recognize me. You handed her the chopsticks and sat down at the table. You grabbed a corn bun and started devouring it. Lin Qingsu was still processing this. She instinctively asked, really? You're not hanging with them anymore? Reporting for duty, ma'am. I've cut ties with them completely. I won't be playing with them anymore. Lin Qingsu finally nodded and began to eat slowly. While eating, she occasionally stole a glance at her man. You were eating fast, but your manners weren't bad. With your rugged, handsome face, you were actually quite a sight to behold. When she first married him, besides the fact he saved her life, part of it was that he was quite good-looking. She'd been blinded by his looks then. Combined with the family marriage swap, she ended up married to this penniless guy. You saw your wife staring, wondering what was on her mind. You put a piece of golden egg on her bun. You teased with a grin, honey, eat up. You can stare all you want in bed later. Your nonsense snapped her out of it. Looking at your roguish face, she gave you a sharp glare, then lowered her blushing face to her food. Full, you were in no rush to leave. Hunched on a small wooden stool, you stared straight at her. The more you looked, the more you loved her. Even in this era of scarcity, with poor food and no makeup, her skin was still incredibly smooth, prettier than any star with cosmetic work. You noticed her knuckles were red from washing. You took her slender wrist into your hand, thinking of the bedsheets drying outside. You planned to sell your stuff tomorrow, to get a washing machine coupon from a dealer. Many people didn't even know what that was, let alone want to spend money on one. With a washing machine, she wouldn't have to scrub by hand. Lin Qingsu pulled her hand back, flustered by your intense gaze. If you're full, go boil water and wash up. You're covered in mud. You stood and kissed her cheek, then went to the kitchen. After you left, she put down her chopsticks and touched her burning face. Since last night, this man loved to hug her and kiss her all the time. Whenever he got close, she could smell his masculine scent, making her heart race like a rabbit, thumping wildly. She couldn't figure out why. After the meal, you told her you'd take her for a walk. On the way back, you didn't head home. You led her in a different direction. Outside a shack near the cowshed, there was a simple mud stove. A woman inside was coughing constantly. She mixed a bit of cornmeal with water in a chipped ceramic pot. After just those few steps, her face turned pale. and sweat rolled down her forehead. A worried, gray-haired man strode over from nearby, frowning. He took the water ladle and told her to go lie down, saying he'd cook. The woman looked at him. The man handed her half a pancake. I had good luck today. I traded for a pancake. I ate half and brought the rest back. Eat up so you can get well. You ate? The man didn't hesitate. He added some rice to the pot and knelt to start the fire. He said he'd eaten. Thinking of her health, the woman held out the pancake. I'm not hungry, you eat it. I've been lying down all day. I just want something liquid. The man tended the fire in silence. Just eat it when I say so. How can you get well without food? The man kept his head down, his eyes stinging. He was full today. But what about tomorrow? He didn't care about himself. That little bit of rice was traded from several villagers. She felt bad for him working all day, and he felt bad for her suffering here. He squeezed her hand. Don't think too much. Just focus on recovery. I'll find medicine for you tomorrow. I'll definitely cure you. The scene made Lin Qingsu uneasy. On the way back, she asked about the couple. You were silent. How could you explain? Saying that man. Well, you didn't know him, but you'd seen him on TV in your past life. A tycoon who dominated the business world, who donated everything after he died. In his wife's name, he started a medical charity fund. His greatest regret was not protecting her and watching her die in pain. Based on your memories, this illness was what killed her. But you figured Mrs. Ying's condition was mostly due to malnutrition. In a drafty cowshed, with only watery soup to eat, even a small bug could turn deadly. You'd have your high school grad wife give medicine and invest money in this future tycoon. At least you'd have a tutor for the exams. Early next morning, before dawn broke, you opened your eyes. You quietly slipped out of bed, walked to the small crib, and carefully picked up your daughter. You laid her gently beside your wife and tucked them in. After cooking breakfast for your wife, you shut the door from the outside and set off. It was market day. Even though it was early, there were already many people on the road. In those years, in the countryside, owning a heavy-duty bicycle meant you were doing quite well. So most people still had to walk. Relying on your past memories, you quickly found the large Chinese herbal medicine shop. The middle-aged man with a square face looked at what you brought out and sized you up. Then he picked up the dendrobium and examined it closely, seeing it was wild dendrobium with every stalk intact. He was inwardly surprised. He carefully placed it on the counter and tentatively asked your price.
Hearing him ask,
You didn't hold back and gave him a direct number. You knew he would definitely haggle. Sure enough, hearing your price, the manager knew you were no easy mark. He glanced at your basket and invited you to the backyard. The two of you haggled for nearly an hour. Finally, you sold the 2 dendrobiums, the fleece flower root and the antlers. You were satisfied with the price. You left with 50 10-yuan bills. With the money, you went to the state store. You wanted to buy a washing machine, but the clerk's answer stunned you. You slapped your forehead. Washing machines existed, but they were for hotels and laundries, not for homes yet. The first domestic ones were made in 1978. They weren't in production yet. But you unexpectedly got a coupon for a 9-inch B&W TV. You bought it without a second thought. Then you bought oil, meat, and flour coupons. The black market dealer saw a big customer had arrived and became extremely friendly. Hearing you wanted a TV that same day, you found a friend with a tractor to help out. It only cost $2 to get your stuff hauled to the village. You agreed right away without thinking. Then you went to the state-run department store, bought your wife a thick, bright red sweater, and pants and leather shoes. You picked out several brand new outfits for the kid, and got a few new comforters too. You bought everything you could think of, filled up half the tractor. The tractor driver was stunned. He couldn't believe it. That a young guy in shabby clothes had so much money and could buy so much stuff at once. By the time your big shopping was done, it was already afternoon. Back home, Lin Qingsu woke up in the morning. Her kid was lying next to her. You had left without her knowing when. Dragging her tired, aching body, Lin Qingsu got up. She saw that before you left early. All the food was tidied up nicely. Golden eggs were on the table. and there were sizzling fried pieces of meat. If Lin Qingsu said she didn't feel anything, that's just not true. Around noon, Wang Xuanzhu came with a young, pretty girl, walked in and called for old four. Wife, this is Li Tiantian, an educated youth from the city. She'd be staying at your place from now on. Just letting old four know. Get over 10 rooms ready for her. Lin Qingsu was a bit confused. Suddenly having this young girl at home. How could these 3 little mud brick rooms fit everyone? 1 room for the couple. The main room is for eating. Another room is packed with odds and ends. There's really nowhere for her to sleep. The village chief isn't home. I can't make decisions here. Wang Xuanzhu grinned, his wrinkles piling up. He waved at Lin Qingsu. Didn't listen to a word she said. He turned and gave a few instructions to the educated youth. And left right away. If it wasn't for your guy giving him a piece of meat, no way he'd have sent such a pretty girl to your house of all places. Really, sent her here. Out of all the educated youths this time. In total, there were over 20 people. Most were young, strong guys. Only this one delicate little girl, and she got assigned here.
It's a young couple living here.
So better to send a girl than a guy. After all, it's much easier with a girl around at night. Nothing to be awkward about. Not worried at all about someone fancying his pretty wife. Li Tiantian, now left here, carried her canvas bag. She looked around at the 3 shabby clay houses and felt really uneasy. Looks like her time here was going to be even tougher than the other educated youth. The family Hong Mai got assigned to seemed to be living a pretty good life. They were a middle-aged couple with 3 kids. Everyone was nicely dressed. On the way, she heard the man of the family she was assigned to really wasn't a good guy.
He drank, gambled, even hit his wife.
The family was dirt poor. Couldn't even keep the pot going. Before she came, she thought maybe it was all a bit exaggerated. But now, turns out it was all true. As for the lady of this house, her clothes were old and didn't fit well, but she was really pretty and fresh-faced. Her features were so delicate, like she walked out of a painting. She didn't look like a country woman at all. Lin Qingsu noticed that someone was quietly checking her out. She looked down at herself, wearing patched-up old clothes. Then looked at the girl in front of her, dressed in a trendy synthetic dress, with white socks and leather shoes, all bright and clean. She pretended not to notice the judging stares, and said, "Have a seat first. That room's a mess, just full of junk. Gotta wait for my husband to return before I can clear out a spot for you." After that, she went inside and brought out a thermos to pour a bowl of water for her guest. Li Tiantian nodded a bit nervously and sat down on the stool in the yard. She started thinking, gotta figure out how to get a city job again as soon as possible. Not a single day more in this dump, especially having to stay in a house with a local troublemaker. Better be careful in the future. Don't let that guy take advantage. Lin Qingsu originally planned to just throw together a quick meal for lunch. But now that a new educated youth was here, she had to roll up her sleeves and start cooking. Li Tiantian thought, since she'd be living here, she couldn't just eat for free. So she washed her hands and went to the kitchen to help out. "How about I start the fire?" she said as she walked into the kitchen. But then she paused. The old kitchen was actually very clean and neat. There was even a huge piece of meat hanging from the beam. Who says this family is too poor to keep the pot going? They've even got meat to eat. And such a big chunk too. Lin Qingsu was kneading dough. When she heard Li Tiantian, she looked up and said, "I don't need help. If you have nothing to do, just watch the kid for me in the yard." Li Tiantian nodded and agreed. She left the kitchen, walked over to the little bed, and saw the fair-skinned, doll-like child lying there. The kid was really cute. She bent down to play with the child. She couldn't help but wonder. The lady of the house looked about her age, and was so fair and pretty. So how come she got married so early? How could she end up with such a loser guy, especially a local thug? Maybe she was forced by him? Had no choice but to marry him. Just thinking about it, Li Tiantian felt nervous. The more she thought, the more scared she got. She wondered if she could go ask the village chief to get her assigned somewhere else. Even if the next place is poorer, that's fine. As long as the man in the house is a decent guy. In the kitchen, Lin Qingsu was still busy cooking, with no idea that outside such a drama was playing out among the educated youth. After a while, a steaming bowl of noodles was ready. Lin Qingsu brought out the noodles and called, "Hey comrade, come have a bowl." Li Tiantian snapped out of her daze. Glancing at the noodles with oil floating on top, she spaced out for a second, then quickly said, "My name is Li Tiantian. You can just call me Tiantian." Lin Qingsu nodded, didn't say anything else. Almost 4 p.m., the tractor rumbled into the village. Following your directions, it stopped at your place. Lin Qingsu, who was peeling corn in the yard, suddenly heard movement outside. She quickly put down her work, got up and walked to the gate. Just then, she saw you jumping nimbly off the tractor. She kept wondering why you came back in this chugging tractor. Before she could even ask, the tractor driver shouted, "Young man, that's a lot of stuff. Can your place even fit all this?" He walked around to the back of the tractor, slowly moving the TV to the edge, careful not to damage it. With a quick move, he hoisted the TV onto his shoulder, grinned at the tractor driver, and said, "We'll have plenty of space later." Lin Qingsu, standing nearby, was stunned by the scene. She asked blankly, "Did you buy all this?" Her voice was full of disbelief. So many things plus a TV. How much money and coupons did this cost? Seeing your wife's fair, pretty face, and her wide, staring eyes, you stepped up and touched her cheek. You knew she was worried about the money. But this small change was nothing to you. You just wanted her to live well from now on, and never suffer another day. You leaned into Lin Qingsu's ear and whispered, "I'll explain it to you later. Stand back for now. Don't get hit. I'll unload the stuff first." Lin Qingsu listened to you and moved aside like a puppet, watching the items being unloaded, piling up like a small mountain. She felt so much regret. If she had known, she would have brought the baby to town with you. How much did all this cost? How could he be so reckless with money? Where did the money and coupons come from? Ordinary people can't afford a TV. Even the electricity will cost a fortune. What a waste. Meanwhile, Li Tiantian, standing in the corner, with the baby in her arms, was staring intently at the tall, broad-shouldered, long-legged young man. He was the village thug. She thought you were ugly and crude. She never expected such sharp features and such a handsome face. She had rarely seen such a good-looking man, and her heart started racing wildly. Li Tiantian finally understood why a beautiful woman like Lin Qingsu had married so young. Turns out, this man is more handsome than the actor Wang Xinggang. Once everything was unloaded, you pulled $2 from your pocket and handed them to the driver. The driver took the money, waved, and drove off in his tractor. You started moving things into the yard. Your wife tried to help, but you refused, telling her to just sit and rest. You didn't even notice the strange woman at home? Zhao Jiangxing rushed over after hearing the news. Seeing the pile of stuff at his brother's door, he was completely shocked. This lazy guy. Where did he get the money for all this? He was dirt poor, with nothing left in the house to sell. Did he sell the baby? Thinking this, Zhao Jiangxing sped up. As he reached the door, he saw his little niece in the girl's arms, and finally felt at ease. Zhao Jiangxing didn't say a word, just quietly helped move things into the yard, staring at that heavy iron box, where pictures and sound come out once plugged in, like a bunch of ants fighting inside. It looked so exciting, just like a movie. He circled it curiously several times, but was too shy to touch it. He heard these things are very precious, costing hundreds of dollars. This is the TV city people talk about. He couldn't believe his brother got one, the only one in the village. After everything was settled, Zhao Jiangxing pulled you to the gate and asked where you got the money. Unfazed, you patted your chest and said, "I hunted these myself and sold them at the black market." You didn't tell him about the dendrobium. It wasn't that you didn't trust him, but it grows on dangerous cliffs. Even if you told him, he couldn't really help. If word got out, it might ruin your income. When it gets warmer next spring, you'll take your brothers to find good spots, teach them the tricks, and let them try their luck. Zhao Jiangxing originally wanted to tell you to just stick to farming, but looking at his brother, he saw a sparkle in your eyes, a sharpness and depth he'd never seen before. It was like you were a different person, and as his big brother, he almost didn't recognize you. Since he was here, you told him about building a house, and asked for his help, offering him $1 a day in wages. Zhao Jiangxing took a puff of his smoke. If you stop acting out, I'll work for you for free. I don't need wages. But building a house is no joke. It costs a lot of money. Brother, I have the money. I'll pay the wages regardless. Even brothers should keep clear accounts. Please help me find a skilled master and use the best materials. I want to move in before winter. Zhao Jiangxing nodded, thinking you just wanted to fix up the 3 thatched rooms. He had no idea you planned to build 2 stories. The reason you left all this to your brother was because you were incredibly busy. You needed to harvest the dendrobium before winter arrived. If you found more wild herbs like he shou wu, you could sell those too. And if you ran into a deer, getting some antlers or parts would be a huge bonus. Since it was still early, the brothers went to find Wang Xuanju. In the planned economy era, you needed a permit to buy bricks. As village head, Wang Xuanju had total power back then. You gave him a pack of Dachiamen cigarettes and slipped him $1. You got a permit for the bricks easily. Then you headed straight to the commune brickyard to place the order for the house. Zhao Jiangxing was confused. How thick were the walls going to be? Why so many bricks? You told him it would be 2 stories. Zhao Jiangxing watched you pull out 2 10-yuan bills and hand them over without blinking. He winced at the cost. Then he heard you say, you'd pay the rest once the bricks were delivered. Zhao Jiangxing's eyes widened. This whole thing was unbelievable. Those were big bills, not scrap paper. Carrying them loosely in your pocket. Weren't you afraid of losing them? He realized his gambler of a brother now had a real presence around others, looking more like a leader than the yard manager. Standing there, he looked naturally authoritative. If he wore a nice blue coat without patches, people would believe he was an official's son. If not for the mole on his neck and the scars from his old fights, Zhao Jiangxing would have wondered if his brother had been replaced. On the way home, Zhao Jiangxing felt like he was floating, totally dazed. Lao Si has finally become a real person, but he still feels something's a little off. When you're almost home, you pull out 5 bills from your jacket pocket and hand them over to Big Brother. Aside from the lumber, please help arrange everything else. Zhao Jiangxing reaches out to take them, but feels his hands are a bit dirty, so he wipes them on his shirt hem. Then finally takes the money. He carefully puts the money into his inside shirt pocket, afraid he might lose it if he's not careful. Zhao Jiangxing sincerely tells you with so much money, you can trust Big Brother. He'll definitely handle everything perfectly for you. You nod at Big Brother. Why wouldn't I trust you? If it weren't for Big Brother and sister-in-law looking after us, with what my wife suffered in her past life, maybe our daughter wouldn't even have been born. She might have been lost by my own doing. Zhao family's main hall. Lin Qingsu is tidying up the things you brought home. She takes out a cloth from the cabinet and carefully places it on the TV, afraid it'll get dusty and dirty the TV. She says, what's the point of buying this thing? The village always has power outages. Plus we need to set up an antenna. And when there's no signal, the screen is just filled with static. Seeing how excited you look, she doesn't really complain about you spending money. She notices you bought more stuff for her and your daughter. There are sweaters, pants, leather shoes for women, and a few outfits for her friend's little girl. Why is she spending money again? Who buys new clothes every day? Last time you came back from town and bought her that coat, she couldn't even bring herself to wear it yet, reluctant to use it. And now you've bought even more clothes for her. But seeing you care about mother and daughter, Lin Qingsu is still happy. She picks up the soft and thick cotton quilt, ready to put it in the chest, and can't help shedding tears. It's better than the new cotton quilt she had when she got married. Once everything is tidied up, Lin Qingsu realizes you didn't buy anything for herself. But her shirt is patch on patch. Her shoes even have holes. Li Tiantian helps hold your daughter, staring eagerly at the new clothes, scratching her head in frustration. Like a cat seeing a fish. That crew neck sweater is the most down-to-earth style in the city. She always wanted to buy it when shopping. But her parents never agreed, spending half a month's wages just for a sweater, looking at clothes she wanted but couldn't afford. And they're not just one here. Li Tiantian is so envious, jealous, and resentful. Lin Qingsu's husband is really handsome. and more than willing to spend money for his wife. And he's also so considerate. When moving things, he wouldn't let her lift a finger. Afraid she'd get tired, cherishes her like his own eyes. How can a good man like him be called lazy by the village? That's just nonsense. It's absolutely ridiculous. You stride in from outside and immediately see a young woman you don't recognize, standing there holding a child, smiling at your wife. Is this your friend? Li Tiantian lowers her gaze when she notices your attention. Unable to look you in the eye, can't meet your eyes. Even though she calls herself a city person, always looks down on these country folks. But ever since this family's man came back on the tractor, covered in dust and sweat, she's always been right by his side. But to him, only his wife matters. There she is, a living person standing here. And he hasn't looked at her even once. Lin Qingsu is busy with her chores, hearing your question, finally realizing there's an extra person at home. That female educated youth hasn't said a word, and she's been busy tidying up with all the stuff you brought home. She completely forgot about her. Lin Qingsu quickly and apologetically takes the child from Li Tiantian's arms and tells you the captain brought her from the countryside. The educated youth wants to stay with us temporarily. How about we clean up the west room so she can stay there? Her words are half asking for your opinion. Even though you say he's the boss of the house, he still doesn't dare make decisions alone. Afraid to make a mistake, you hear someone wants to stay at your home, and your brow instantly furrows. You really don't want strangers messing up the peaceful life with your wife. But when you see your wife's hopeful eyes, the words of refusal just won't come out. Afraid she think you're not on her side, you stay silent. Pull your wife into the inner room, take off your coat, then take out the remaining money from selling dendrobium from your hidden pocket and hand it to her. You then take your child from Lin Qingsu's arms, teasing the baby, and tell her your plan to build a new house. Lin Qingsu takes the money from your hands and looks at the stack of crisp bills, feeling it's hard to believe. After buying so many things, there's still so much money left. 2 stalks of dendrobium, 1 piece of ishowu, and some deer antler and deer pizzle. They were worth so much? When you mention wanting to build a house, Lin Qingsu quickly puts the money away. Under your eager gaze, carefully hides the money very securely, and then falls silent for a moment. If we don't build a house, just the money from these 2 deals, it's more than enough for the 3 of us to live comfortably for several years. A safe, steady life. But if we do build the house, this money won't be nearly enough, and we'll end up deep in debt. Her younger brother from her mother's side has helped their family a lot recently. Now they've got their own kids to raise. It's embarrassing to ask to borrow more. Lin Qingsu is lost in thought. You seem to see right through her worries. Suddenly you kiss her soft cheek. Honey, don't worry about the money. I've got it covered. Just rest up at home. Don't tire yourself out. That sudden soft, warm touch on her cheek makes Lin Qingsu blush bright red. She gives you a seductive glance and softly reminds you, what are you doing? There's someone outside. You're not embarrassed at all. Your skin is as thick as a fortress. You just grin at Lin Qingsu. In your last life, you were rich. You've been in every kind of situation. And then you lean down again. Gently bite Lin Qingsu's plump, rosy lips. Just a light nibble. Looking at her blushing, fair face, your heart melts right along. She's a mom now, but still so shy. You stop teasing her. Get back on topic? You say that tomorrow. Big brother will order the building materials. If he doesn't have enough money and asks you for some, don't forget to give it to him. Lin Qingsu nods silently, but feels a bit uneasy. She remembers what the neighbor said about big brother and second sister-in-law. And now whenever she sees big brother, she just feels uncomfortable. You noticed right away that your wife didn't look quite right. You moved closer, touched her cheek, and asked what was wrong. Wife, if anything's bothering you, don't bottle it up inside. Lin Qingsu thought for a moment, but she still shook her head. She didn't say anything. Seeing your wife didn't want to talk, you didn't push her for an answer. Over there, Li Tiantian stood in the main room. She vaguely heard Lin Qingsu's reminder that there were still people outside. Her face turned as red as a monkey's bottom. He walked softly, making his way to the middle of the yard, breathing in the fresh air, Almost by instinct, he stopped himself from going to look for the captain to change his bunk. The man of the house didn't seem as bad as the villagers made him out to be. Just now, when the little sister-in-law was tidying things up, he stood there holding the child, watching everything clearly. Most of those things were just household items, plus clothes for the child and the sister-in-law. But there was nothing there that belonged to the man. As Li Tiantian stood dazed in the yard, the little girl in your arms was already sound asleep. Her delicate little face looked peaceful. You turned around gently and softly laid your sleeping little princess on the bed. You carefully pulled the blanket over her. Then Lin Qingsu walked out from the room. She said to Li Tiantian, "I'm sorry you'll have to make do tonight. Please bear with us for now. There's quite a lot piled up in the west room. It might take your big brother a while to clean it all up." Upon hearing Lin Qingsu, Li Tiantian turned her head, seeing her cheeks all flushed. She couldn't help but think of what she vaguely overheard lately. The husband and wife's conversation in their room. Her face got a little hot. She quickly looked away from him. "It's no trouble, unless you want to bother big brother instead," Li Tiantian quickly replied. Lin Qingsu just smiled and shook her head at Li Tiantian, saying, "As long as you don't mind how poor our family is, that's enough." As she spoke, he bent down, planning to move his daughter's little wooden bed into the east room. Seeing this, you hurried over to help. "Let me move it, hun. Be careful with your back." Lin Qingsu chuckled, and then headed to the west room, wanting to help tidy up too. "You working with your shirt off. Only put on a white tank top since your wife kept asking you to." You finally wore that white tank top. Your muscular arms were showing, looking full of strength. The tank top covered your broad back, hiding those scratches of different shades. You had no idea why your wife wanted you to wear a tank top. You just carried a few bamboo rakes like this, planning to move them to the yard. Barely started working. And then you saw your wife come in, rolling up her sleeves. You quickly stopped her. "Honey, you don't need to help with this. There's a lot of dust. Go wait outside in the yard." You said this, but seeing Lin Qingsu not listening, you got anxious, put down the fence in your hand and started to push her out. You really felt sorry for her. The dust was so bad. How could you let her come help? If it wasn't for the new house coming up soon, and a bunch of grown men coming and going, you wouldn't have kept this female-educated youth living at your place. But then again, keeping Li Tiantian had its benefits too. When you go to the mountains to hunt or gather dendrobium, she can keep your wife company and chat with her. Helps to pass the time. Li Tiantian saw you push Lin Qingsu out, so she couldn't help but cover her mouth and jokingly say, "Sis-in-law, big bro really cares about you." Hearing Li Tiantian, Lin Qingsu blushed, smiled shyly, and didn't answer, thinking how much he's changed lately. "As long as he's home, he won't let me do any work. Even the hot water to wash up at night. He boils it and brings it into the room for me. These days I really do feel cared for. It's almost too good to be true. So good it feels unreal sometimes." She even felt a little anxious about it. Lin Qingsu was scared it was just a phase for you, that you go back to your old ways. She worried all the time, always feeling a bit insecure. Her mind is always tense every day now, greedily hoping these good days will last a bit longer. That's why she's so careful with her words and actions lately. Afraid of upsetting you. When she eats, seeing you hand her the white flour buns while you eat the cornbread, even though you always said you hated cornbread. And it was you who asked me to make white flour buns. But when they're ready, you never touch them at all, saving them all for me. Honestly, I can eat whatever. As long as you're living well, and you don't go fooling around outside, I'm content. Lin Qingsu still can't figure out why you've suddenly become so good. It's not like she never did crazy things when she was drunk before. Apologizing while hugging you after sobering up, kneeling and swearing she wouldn't do it again. Every time after she got drunk, she'd behave for a few days, but only for 2 or 3 days. Then went back to how she was before, and kept going out to mess around. You've never been like this before. Cooking and boiling water, even coaxing the child, and getting all the clothes and shoes for the kid. Lin Qingsu knew deep down, always reminding herself to stay clear-headed, not to fall headfirst into this sweet illusion. Because what if she wakes up from the dream someday, and reality isn't like it is now? What would she do then? But you didn't know. What was going through your wife's mind? Time passed and it was nearly dark. You finally finished tidying up the west room. That room was made of clay tiles, always piled high with sundries. No one lived there. The newspapers on the walls were rotten like spider webs, falling apart at just a touch. Even after cleaning, there was still a lot of dust inside. You quickly built a little bed with wooden planks and finished the task your wife gave you. Lin Qingsu saw you coming out all sweaty. She quickly grabbed a towel and handed it to you. Here, wipe off. Dinner's almost ready. You didn't reach out, just stood tall and bent down a little. Brought your face closer. Your strong, handsome face got right in front of your wife. Breathing out heat, you said, "Babe, can you wipe it for me?" Hearing you say that, Lin Qingsu glanced over instinctively at Li Tian, who just came in carrying stuff. After she walked in, Qingsu tiptoed up and wiped the sweat off your forehead. She reminded you there's a guest at home. Next time, when you get up in the morning, don't walk around shirtless. At least wear some shorts. Don't make the young lady embarrassed. Your dark, sharp eyes stared at your wife, so close by, watching her carefully wiping it off, and reminding you about all these things. Your heart felt warm, even though not being able to go shirtless at home feels a bit awkward. But looking at your wife being so serious, you couldn't help but smile. You leaned over and gave Qingsu a quick peck on her red lips, just a light kiss. And you answered right away, "I'll listen to you." Lin Qingsu blushed at your sudden affection, her face and ears turning red. It's fine when it's just the two of you at home, but now there's an unmarried girl around. Seriously, you're shameless. Face red, Qingsu told you, "Stop messing around. Go wash up and have dinner." Then she hurried back to the kitchen. You watched her running off and couldn't help but grin. Your handsome face was full of satisfaction. You walked over to the well, drew up a bucket of cold water, splashed your face with it. After sweating so much, you felt all sticky. It was really uncomfortable. You looked around. No one else was in the yard. You took off your tank top and dumped the cold water straight over your head. So refreshing. But you didn't expect Li Tiantian to walk out just then. She saw the whole thing. She saw your bare, muscular back, showing off your strong body, toned muscles, clear lines, with a few scratch marks still there. Li Tiantian's cheeks turned red at the sight. She quickly turned and went back inside. These mud brick walls aren't soundproof at all. The house is dark and dusty everywhere. Li Tiantian can't stand even one full day. Lin Qingsu heard the water splashing and brought the dishes out. The first thing she saw was you shirtless, your body still dripping wet, like you'd just come out of the water. She instantly felt a rush of anger. She put the food down on the stone table in the yard, marched over and grabbed your arm, dragging you inside, complaining as she pulled, "It's freezing out here. What if you get sick, huh?" You let your wife pull you inside. Listening to her nagging made you feel warm. You knew she was worried about you. Once inside, Lin Qingsu grabbed a kid's little blanket, stood on her tiptoes, and gently started to dry your hair. She was so focused, she didn't even blink, still scolding you to lower your head, totally not noticing. You were smiling at her the whole time. Hearing her talk, you quickly spread your legs and dipped your head down, obediently letting her dry you off. "So my dear, are you wearing new clothes tomorrow? I want to see you in them." When you said that, Lin Qingsu paused a bit, but she stayed quiet. Once your hair was almost dry, she moved behind you, carefully drying your back too. Seeing the marks on your back, her face grew even redder. She wasn't like this before, but now, thinking about it, her heart started to race. She tossed the little blanket to you, told you to dry the front yourself. "Dry off, get changed, then come eat." Lin Qingsu lifted the curtain and went out. Just as Li Tiantian came out from the west room, they shared a smile, but stayed quiet. 3 little mud brick rooms, all crammed together. Say something in the east room. The west room hears every word. Li Tiantian couldn't sit still, couldn't stand either. Just felt awkward all over. If this was nighttime, she'd feel like she was on a spit over a fire. You changed into some pants, threw on a gray shirt, and strode out. You sat beside your wife on the stone stool, glanced at the table. The eggs from breakfast were still almost untouched. All 8 pieces of meat still there. You frowned at your wife, Didn't you eat breakfast? Lin Qingsu just picked up her chopsticks. But when she saw you frowning, her heart dropped. Her hand shook and the chopsticks fell to the floor. She was instantly defeated, so she broke down so fast. She thought this time she could hold on longer. It was over before she even realized. She put down the other chopstick, avoided looking at you, and took a deep breath. I had half a bun and 2 pieces of egg. Her voice sounded calm, but her hand was gripping her old coat tight. Her whole body was shaking. The sound of the chopsticks made you whip around. You knew something was wrong. Looked closely. Lin Qingsu's eyes were completely red, like rain-soaked apricots. Your heart clenched. You started to panic. You just felt bad she wasn't eating. Never meant to sound so harsh. You scared her. You tried to hug her, but she dodged away. You got even more anxious. Your tall frame squatted in front of your wife, face filled with worry. Honey, I just got worried. I really didn't mean to scare you. Softened your tone. And Lin Qingsu couldn't hold back her hurt anymore. Her tears started falling. She really got scared just now. Thought you'd turned into that scary, violent guy again. You felt so bad for her, and picked her up by the waist, carried her straight into the east room. Li Tiantian was just sitting down at the stone stool, looking completely lost. What the heck just happened? Now she's the only one left outside. Inside, you looked at her, heart aching. Her eyes were red from crying, her little nose all pink. It hurt you like crazy. You leaned down and gently spoke to her. Honey, I'm sorry. I really messed up. I was just worried you wouldn't eat, so I got anxious and sounded mean. I'm so busy out there every day. I can't watch you eat all the time. Got worried for a second, and my tone got ugly. Lin Qingsu slowly started to feel better, realizing she'd been kind of sensitive too. Being pampered lately had made her spoiled. Now it was all out in the open. He felt even more embarrassed. His fair fingers gripped his shirt tightly. His eyes lowered slightly, biting his lower lip. He didn't say a word. Just then, you suddenly called out, "Wife, what's going on with you?" You followed the direction he was pointing. Only then did Lin Qingsu notice. She realized she was leaking milk. Before he could answer, you thought of the crucian carp tofu soup and venison you've been making lately. You asked if our daughter is eating enough these days. Lin Qingsu's pale face turned red instantly, like a ripe persimmon. He pulled away from your embrace, turned around and said, "You get out first." His voice was trembling. "I've been drinking fish soup every day. Don't know if it really helps. The babies had only breast milk the past few days. No more formula. But even so, there's still a lot of milk. Breasts ache and feel full all day. Last night, that shameless guy had some too. That's the only reason it didn't hurt so much today. But somehow she's still leaking." His face flushed bright red, head down, unbuttoning his shirt. Didn't realize at all. You were staring directly at his moves intently, eyes full of longing as you watched. Lin Qingsu just took off her outer shirt, then realized that shameless man was staring right at her. He immediately got embarrassed and annoyed. "What are you doing? Hurry up and get out. I need to change clothes." You weren't planning to leave at all. Instead, you leaned closer and said, "Honey, the baby's asleep now. You're feeling full and uncomfortable. Let me help." You didn't give Lin Qingsu a chance to react. Li Tiantian was sitting outside on a stone bench, leaning her cheek on her hand. It was already dark. The stars and moon were out. The couple was still inside. They hadn't come out, and she didn't dare go in. She just waited. After a long time, the two finally came out. Li Tiantian noticed the younger sister-in-law's eyes were a bit teary. Her cheeks flushed, her lips so red they seemed to drip. Guess he made her feel better. Lin Qingsu noticed Li Tiantian staring at her, thinking of what just happened. Her face got hotter. She sat down, picked up chopsticks, and handed them to Li Tiantian. "Let's eat." Then handed another pair of chopsticks to the man next to her. After you sat down, you didn't even spare Li Tiantian a glance the whole time. You gave your wife a white bread bun, and grabbed a coarse grain bun, taking big bites, thinking about sneaking off to the reservoir soon, catching some fish to nourish your wife. Lin Qingsu had no clue what he was thinking. He worried Li Tiantian might feel awkward. Handed her a white bread bun. "Eat, make yourself at home. Treat this like your own house." Li Tiantian took a small bite, but wondered in her heart. Is his family poor or rich? If they're poor, why white bread buns? The dishes are eggs and meat. This would be impressive even in the city. But this morning, the captain's family had dark corn buns and pickled radish. If they're rich, they live in a 3-room mud house. Apart from the TV bought today, there wasn't a single decent piece of furniture. The bed I sleep on is just a few wooden boards put together. She was scared it'd fall apart just rolling over. Oh, right. He was talking to the tractor driver about building a new house during the day. So, is this old house getting torn down? Would they even have somewhere to stay? Then why does he still let me stay? It's clear. This big brother only has eyes for his wife, doesn't care about anyone else. He clearly doesn't like me staying here. Lost in thought, crying from inside the house, she quickly stood up and told Lin Qingsu to keep eating, and strode back inside, turned on the light, and picked up the daughter who'd woken on the small bed. Lin Qingsu put down her chopsticks, reached out for the baby. But you dodged. You eat first, I'm not hungry. I'll eat later. Lin Qingsu knew right away. He just wanted her to eat first. That's why he said he's not hungry. After coming back from outside, he'd been busy cleaning up. How could he not be hungry? But she didn't say anything, just picked up her chopsticks and kept eating. Li Tiantian lowered her gaze, nibbling at her bun, sneaking glances at the couple. Couldn't help but compare it to her own family. Her 2 older brothers hardly ever touched the kids after work. The wives always soothed the crying babies first, one arm holding the baby, the other hand struggling to eat. But this guy in front was pacing around the courtyard with the baby, rocking her. It was unreal. Lin Qingsu quickly finished eating, took the baby back from the man and went to their room. Once she left, Li Tiantian secretly looked up, glanced at the young man across from her. He was just munching on his bun and eating fried eggs. His handsome face had no expression at all. He seemed cold and distant, totally different from how he was with his wife. Li Tiantian found it a little creepy. She felt uneasy. She stammered, "Bro."
I'm full.
She cleared the dishes and headed to the kitchen, washed up quick and went to the west room. Didn't dare come out again. Night had fallen. You sat alone in the yard, ate the last 4-course buns. Didn't feel full till you drank all the noodle soup. Then you boiled a pot of hot water, carried a basin back inside. "Honey, don't forget to wipe off with the hot water. I'm going to the bathroom." You set the basin on the rack and stepped out. Lin Qingsu closed the door, took off her clothes, began washing up with the hot water, got dressed just after bathing, thought she heard something behind the house, figured she was just hearing things. But then a man's voice came from outside. "Hey, sweetheart, are you bathing?" Goosebumps shot up all over Lin Qingsu. She screamed loudly. You had just pulled your pants back up outside, heard the scream, rushed out immediately, and caught the person running into your arms, held her tight and asked softly, "What's wrong?" Lin Qingsu threw her arms around your waist, her whole body shivering. There was someone behind the house. You lifted your dark eyes, looked over the courtyard wall, and actually saw someone running off quickly. In that instant, your eyes went cold with anger. You looked back at the woman in your arms wearing only her underclothes, swept her up around the waist, and laid her on the bed, then stepped out of the bedroom, and told Li Tiantian standing at the west room door, "Watch him for me. I'm heading out." You didn't say anything else, just strode out of the yard. Your tall figure disappeared into the night at Lazy Eye's house in the east end of the village. The neighbor heard him wailing in pain, and fists landing hard. It was enough to make anyone's heart jump. Everybody knew you were a brute, and a ruthless one at that. No one knew how Lazy Eye pissed you off. By hearing those noises, you clearly lost your temper. They were really scared you'd beat him to death. "Bro, I was wrong. I was trying to see the educated youth, Li Tiantian. But I swear I didn't see a thing." Hearing Lazy Eye beg for mercy, you just dislocated his jaw. "What nonsense are you talking about? Weren't you craving meat? Go eat some meat then." "Bro, I was wrong." Lazy Eye could barely get up, let alone kneel.
He was seriously scared you would beat him to death.
For a second, you really wanted to cripple him. But thinking of Lin Qingsu and your daughter, you went easy on him. Lin Qingsu lay on the bed, didn't know how much time passed, heard the sound of water in the yard, realized you were back.
taking a cold shower outside.
After 10 minutes or so, she heard you open and shut the door. In the darkness, you thought she was asleep. You tiptoed inside, just about to climb into bed in the dark. From the bed, you heard, "You're back." Lin Qingsu reached out and turned on the light. The room lit up. You stopped moving. You saw the person on the bed propping their head up with one hand. Her dark hair was scattered over her pale shoulders. Your eyes darkened. You got on the bed, then turned off the light. In the dark, you wrapped your arms around her slim waist. You patted her back and said, "It's okay. Babe, just go to sleep." Before you got home, she didn't dare to sleep, afraid you'd lose control and kill someone, and worried what the villagers might say. He was terrified. She curled up in your arms like a kitten, her cheek pressed against his strong, warm chest. Listening to his steady heartbeat, she slowly stopped crying. He didn't dare cry loudly. Afraid of waking the kid, looking at her like this, you just felt you went too easy on her. You thought with your reputation, no local punk would dare, but someone still tried something. But after tonight, those guys should settle down. Looking at the man, he looked tired, thinking about how he left early and came home late lately, digging wild herbs to sell, handing his money to her, protecting her, convincing her he really changed. In the dark, Lin Qingsu cried herself to sleep. She drifted off, exhausted. You listened to the steady breathing next to you, and finally relaxed. The next morning, Lin Qingsu was woken up by voices outside. In the yard, Sister Zhao poured a handful of sugar into the hot water, pouring some for everyone working. Sugar's rare these days. No one wants to buy it unless it's special. Cao Fengji drank a bowl of sugar water. She leaned over to Sister Zhao and asked quietly, "Yesterday, it sounded like your sister-in-law was yelling at home." Sister Zhao put down the thermos. She looked at gossiping Cao Fengji. "Your house is 2 miles from Zhao Xi's place. How could you hear?" "So what, you had nothing better to do last night? That you were eavesdropping under their window?" Cao Fengji just grinned. She didn't answer but remembered last night. "Heard you beat up a lay from East End half to death and broke his leg. And the city wife didn't quiet down either. Guess it was 'cause the wife cheated on you. She couldn't keep it together. Wanted to make a scene." Sister Zhao ignored her and went to pour water for others. She came up to you and gave you a look. She quietly told you to check on Qingsu. She's usually up by now. Hope she didn't get too scared. You stopped moving bricks. She really was still asleep this morning, but it's already 10. You lifted the curtain and went into the bedroom. Right as you walked in, Lin Qingsu woke up. You instinctively pulled her into your arms, turned to her and said, "Get changed since you're up. I'll bring you breakfast in a bit." Your voice was still a bit hoarse. The curtains were pulled closed. It was noisy outside. Lin Qingsu couldn't help asking what was going on in the yard. You smiled and answered, "They're fixing the wall. It's a mess out there. Baby, just stay in the room for now. There's still stuff to take care of outside." "Then why won't you let me go?" But you didn't let go. In fact, you held her tighter. You said, "Give me a kiss and I'll let go." "Stop it, let me go. People are outside. How am I messing around? You're my wife. I just want a kiss and you're not even willing. Don't you like me anymore?" Your tone was playfully fierce and a bit aggrieved. Lin Qingsu wanted to explain, but ended up saying nothing. She leaned over and gently kissed his cheek. "There, now let me go." You, after that kiss, your pretty eyes lit up. You smiled and cupped her face for another kiss. "I'm getting bored in here. I want to go help outside." Without thinking, you said, "Nope, you're not going. I'll let Sister Zhao keep you company later." Lin Qingsu knew there was no chance to help. Saw you wouldn't open the door. She just went back to play with her daughter. With so many people helping, the yard wall was finished a little after 4. The 2-meter wall was topped with shards of glass. Without a ladder, it's hard for anyone to climb that wall now, especially with all that glass up there. Fixing the wall before building the house. That's a first here. Out back behind your house. Cao Fengji's brother grinned. "Last night I went out to pee. Saw Alay sneaking out of Lin Qingsu's room." He snuck out quietly. Bet the 2 of them were up to something. Zhang Hongxia gasped. "No way, if that's true." Lin Qingsu's got no shame. The sisters-in-law whispered to each other, exchanged glances. They looked at Lin Qingsu a bit too eagerly. "You saw all that, and heard every word." Those two women really need to get put in their place. Your uncle. And these two daughters-in-law. What a pair. Sighed, they came to help. But just here for the sugar water. You noticed. Cao Fengji even brought a tea mug. And her pockets were stuffed. Probably took a bunch of snacks for the helpers. Thinking how to deal with them. Cao Fengji and Zhang Hongxia need to be handled at once. Save yourself the trouble. After dinner, you headed lazily to Uncle Wang Dashen's house. Wang Dashen and his two sons never split households. They all lived together. When you got there, the Wangs were at dinner. They saw you coming in, and everyone looked surprised. Did Zhou and Guo have dinner yet? Uncle Wang Dashen asked. Aunt Liu Shuqin stuffed a spoonful of rice in her mouth and watched you coming her way. She didn't think much of it. You walked right over to Cao Fengji and yanked her by the hair. Everyone froze at your move.
Cao Fengji screamed in shock.
Then everyone came to their senses. Wang stood up in pain. Guo, what are you doing? You sneered. You want to know what I'm doing? Ask your wife. Cao Fengji never thought the news would reach you so quick, and you'd show up so fast. You started calling out Cao Fengji's lies. Liu Shuqin and Wang Dashen's faces went dark when they heard. What kind of daughter-in-law did we even bring home? Just a jinx. All we worry about is our sons picking up bad stuff from Zhu and Guo. Always warn them not to hang out with you. But this woman just won't quit causing trouble. Cao Fengji cursed you in her heart, but couldn't think how to explain. Zhang Hongxia stood up. Maybe this is just a misunderstanding? Zhen Guo, let go first. Cao Fengji's your cousin-in-law at least. See, birds of a feather. Zhang Hongxia, you're no good either. Sit down. Zhang Hongxia looks a bit embarrassed. She glances at her man. Wang Yang stays silent. It's clear he wants no part of this mess. You raise your hand and slap Cao Fengji in the face. That's what you get for running your mouth. I should really shut that mouth of yours. Cao Fengji is completely stunned. She never thought you'd actually dare to do it. No one in the Wang family tries to stop it. You smack Cao Fengji 6 times before stopping. Then you let go of her. Cao Fengji is seeing stars. She can barely stand. She staggers into Wang He. But her own man just shoves her away. Wang Dashen says coldly, you had it coming. Serves you right. Liu Shuqin glares at Cao Fengji. Feels so damn frustrating. Cao Fengji, are you just dumb or what? Or are you just jealous of Zhang Guo and his wife? How dare you say stuff like that? It's obvious you're stirring up trouble. No one even pities her for being hit. I didn't say those things. But she never admitted. Cao Fengji is out of options. You say you didn't say those things? Can you swear to it? If you're lying, may your entire family die. May your parents never die peacefully. May your kids never die peacefully. Cao Fengji is too naive. She's no match for these crafty ones. You're no match for them. In just a couple words, Cao Fengji is silenced. Her guilt is obvious. She stammers, unable to speak. What's really going on here? Everyone can see the truth now. You look around at everyone. Let me make this clear today. If I hear anyone gossiping in the village, trying to mess with my marriage, don't blame me for what happens. If someone gets beaten or crippled, it's not on me. After you finish speaking, you give Cao Fengji 2 more brutal kicks. Wang He glances over. He steps up and starts beating his own wife again. Cao Fengji's face is all swollen now. She begs Wang He to stop, but he keeps hitting her. Still, no one dares step in. You're clearly still angry, as you haven't left. Anyone who tries to stop it will be in trouble. After a while, Liu Shuqin sighs. That's enough. If you hurt her, it'll cost money for treatment. Wang He raises his hand again. He slaps Cao Fengji in the face. This time, her mouth starts bleeding. You snort. Serves you right for being mouthy. Do it again and I'll sew your mouth shut. With that, you walk away. Inside the house, only Cao Fengji sobs. There's no other sound. After dealing with her, Cao Fengji actually feels good. He heads home in a good mood to see his wife. Once he's gone, Wang Dashen gives Liu Shuqin a look. Tells her to take the daughters-in-law to the kitchen to clean up. In the middle room, Wang Dashen sits there silently smoking.
He taps the table with his pipe.
Wang He, Wang Yong, you two keep your wives in check. If anyone spreads rumors about Zhao Xi's family, I won't be able to protect you. We can't mess with Zhao Xi. People say he's straightened out lately. But honestly, he seems even wilder now. Wang He and Wang Yong hang their heads. They don't dare say a word. The old wooden door creaks open. An old wooden door swings open. Cao Fengji quickly shuts her eyes. She hasn't even figured out what to do. They've been married for a few months now. But there's still no sign she's pregnant. Her in-laws and husband stood by and watched her get beaten just now. What kind of people are these? Wang He comes in but says nothing. He sits on the edge of the bed in silence.
His mind is a mess.
He's not at peace at all. He knows his cousin is no ordinary guy. His dad warned him not to mess with him. But his own wife is just so pretty. He can't bring himself to send her back to her parents. He just can't let her go. They lock eyes. Neither says a word. After a moment, Cao Fengji picks herself up. I was wrong, she says. Wang He looks surprised. He never expected her to admit fault. One day, Cao Fengji sees he's not talking. From now on, I'll behave and just be with you. I promise not to set foot outside, or even step past the second door. Wang He gives her a look, then turns and leaves. Cao Fengji watches his back as he goes. The chatterbox is at a loss. Maybe she should take the initiative. She can't let this beating go to waste. Early one morning, Lin Qingsu divides the dough she prepared into 5 little pieces. She puts them in the pan, frying both sides until golden. She's about to tear off a piece to taste, but gets startled by a hug from behind. You're tall, so you have to bend down to wrap her in your arms. Your chin rests on her neck. Lin Qingsu shrinks away a little. She relaxes when she smells the familiar scent. Still groggy, she turns her head. She sees you eyeing the food in her hand. She gives a faint smile. She feeds you the flatbread. How does it taste? It's good. Your smile is so real and warm. Babe, you really don't have to get up so early to cook for me. It's fine if you sleep a bit longer with the baby. You need to go hunting. It's cold in the mountains, a hot breakfast helps.
Lately.
She saw you leave every morning with just some dry food. So Lin Qingsu wanted to do something for you. I'm heading out now. After you have breakfast, put on your big boots, grab the basket and head up the mountain. You walk for about 2 hours. Soon, you find that dendrobium you were looking for. You take out your tools and get to work. By noon, you've finished picking all the dendrobium, and there's still plenty of time left. You don't go down right away. You start searching around for dead wood, hoping to get lucky. Sure enough, you spot a big bonanza. You stride over quickly. Turns out they're mushrooms. Wait, that's too bright red for a regular dried-out mushroom. There are actually 4 different-sized Ganoderma. Today's mountain trip was worth it. How did I never notice this before? There really is treasure everywhere in these deep woods. You set the basket down. Lay some leafy grass as padding. Use a sharp knife to cut the Ganoderma and place them inside. Cover them with another thick layer of grass. Just as you're about to leave, you catch something out of the corner of your eye. By a chestnut tree, a small hidden hole. Fresh dirt and footprints are scattered around the entrance. Those are badger tracks. Looks like a badger den. Badger meat is delicious. It'll be good for your wife's health. Badger oil is precious medicine. But badgers are clever. Catching one is never easy. You decide to try smoking it out. You rummage around and find a handful of dried chili peppers. Carefully stuff the peppers and firewood into the hole. The fire flickers. Thick smoke pours in. The biting smell fills the badger's den. You step aside and wait patiently. When the badger senses the smoke, it'll instinctively look for a way out. You've already set up a net at the entrance. Now you just wait for the badger to walk right in. It's a bit of a gamble. Badgers are good at digging tunnels, making clever designs, and often have many exits. You remember a nature show said, some badgers have over 130 exits. Time ticks by. The woods are silent, except for the occasional bird call. You keep your eyes on the hole. Your palms are sweating a bit. You wait for about half an hour, still nothing. You're about to give up, planning to put out the fire with wet branches. Suddenly there's movement at the hole. A furry badger head pops out. Its eyes are wide with panic in the smoke. Then it squeezes out of the hole and bolts straight for the net in a panic. You react quickly and yank the net tight. You trap the badger safely in the net. Looks like it's about 20 pounds. Only a 1 in 6 chance with all those exits. So catching even one is lucky. You're very satisfied. You take out some water from your stash. and make sure the fire is out. Then you head down the mountain. And this is at home. Some villagers heard you bought a TV. They got curious and kept coming over. Wanted to see what the city folks' TV looked like. By the end of the day, your house was super lively. Crowds just kept coming and going. Some villagers saw Zhao Zhangxing having piles of building supplies delivered. After hearing you were building a house, everyone looked surprised. People were talking all sorts of things. They all thought you couldn't finish the house, felt you didn't have that much money. Some even secretly said you don't know how to live, spending so much on a metal box for nothing, wasting money and electricity. Lin Qingsu was exhausted just dealing with villagers watching TV, completely worn out. He thought their house was even busier than at their wedding. Just as he sat down to relax, he saw you coming back with a basket. Suddenly, his eyes lit up.
He walked over, holding the child.
Why are you back so early today? Then he noticed leaves stuffed in your bamboo basket. After these few times, just by looking at the grass in your basket, he could already guess there was something else inside. He was pretty surprised by your constant good luck. Dendrobium is hard to find. But each time you go up the mountain, you bring some back. Lin Qingsu was wearing a brand new red sweater, making her skin look even more pale and soft. He was stunned by her beauty for a moment. Once you got close, you bent down, trying to kiss him on the cheek. But he blushed and dodged. Lin Qingsu thought you were always up to something, always trying to sneak a kiss in broad daylight. Tan Tian and Big Sis-in-law are both here. Only then did you notice a few villagers inside. You looked at your wife, puzzled. Lin Qingsu noticed your confusion and explained, everyone wants to see what the TV looks like. Luckily, my sister-in-law came over, so she helped out. You nodded, then tried to take the baby from her arms. But your clothes were dirty, so you carried the basket into the kitchen, calling your wife to follow you. You leaned close and whispered a few words in her ear. Lin Qingsu looked at the basket, then nodded. She didn't know how much you brought back, and that you'd go to the city early tomorrow. But she didn't press for details. There were still so many people at home. He really had the nerve to get this close. This guy had been acting different lately. Noticed his wife secretly glancing at him. You grinned from ear to ear. Smack. Then kissed both her cheeks. Wife, make sure you eat well today. No one else would say that. And your hands kept moving, gently touching her waist. How can it be so slim? Probably not even 16 inches. Even when I'm not home, you've got to eat well, okay? You're too skinny. I can almost grab your waist. Lin Qingsu glared at you, holding the child. She almost complained you were being inappropriate. Then Big Sis-in-law shouted, if Lao sees back, chinking, then I'll head home. Old Zhao's in the fields. He'll be home soon. She turned and walked out. Lin Qingsu quickly called her back. Sis, wait, let me hand you my daughter. She left the kitchen, went into the east room and brought out a bag of rock sugar, put it into Big Sis-in-law's hands. Afraid you'd say she couldn't give it away. Rock sugar is a rare thing. She can't bear to eat it herself. If not for Big Sis-in-law's help, life would have been even tougher before. When she heard about all the villagers coming over today, she didn't even bother with her flowers. If Big Sis-in-law hadn't come, with this many people, she couldn't have handled it alone. Back when the family was poor, she kept taking advantage of her Big Sis-in-law. Now life's better. She wanted to repay her. Even between sisters-in-law, you can't always take advantage of others. Sis Zheng Guo bought this. Take it home for the kids. Sis stared at the half-pound of rock sugar in shock. She quickly pushed it back. No, keep it for Nunu. Sugar water is for special guests. Most families can't afford it. If a new wife brings this home, her own family would be so proud. It's a huge honor. The two of them went back and forth a bunch of times. The bag almost ripped. Finally, Big Sis-in-law shyly accepted the sugar. She turned and went home. Lin Qingsu nervously explained to you, wringing her hands and stuttering. Luckily, Sis helped us. There were just too many people then. I got so busy I almost forgot to eat. Almost skipped lunch. I gave the rock sugar to Sis. Please don't be mad and don't go ask for it back. Don't ask for it back. Seriously. Seeing your wife all scared and nervous, you felt a tight grip on your heart. It almost broke. She still doesn't really trust you. Always afraid to say the wrong thing. Afraid you'd hit or yell at her. Feels like he's paying for his past actions. You stayed silent. Lin Qingsu got even more scared, acting like she did something wrong. bowed her head and mumbled, Zhang Guo. I'll never do it again. Please don't be mad. You picked up your daughter with one arm and pulled your wife close with the other. You needed to get some things straight with her. Never let misunderstanding drag on, or it'll just pile up more and more. For a couple, worst thing is not talking it out. If you don't communicate, nothing works. You patted her back, rested your chin on her hair, and gently said, Wife, I've said it already. You're in charge at home. Money is yours to manage. Do whatever you want. You make the calls. It's just a bag of sugar. If you want more, we'll buy some tomorrow. Don't worry about my feelings so much. No matter what you decide, I'll always support you no matter what. At first, hearing this, Lin Qingsu thought you were sulking, but you said it again and again. It really wasn't just talk. Lin Qingsu finally relaxed. She'd barely dared breathe before, afraid you'd suddenly get mad. Seeing her calm down, you finally felt at ease. Guess you're going to have to chat heart to heart every night. Wanted to take your wife to the city for a break, but knew she wouldn't want to. She's scared you'd turn around and sell your daughter off once she's in the city. But you still felt taking her out for a walk would help. Wife, want to take a walk at the foot of the mountain with me? I'll catch a quail for you as a treat. Lin Qingsu kind of wanted to go, not just because of the quail. It's just that lately, he hasn't even let her work in the fields. Just wants her to rest at home and take care of the baby. She was out working the day after giving birth. Didn't care much about herself back then, but now he cares for her more. She doesn't even know what she promised Wang Shuanju. Both adults in her house stop working, and if Wang Shuanju never comes to ask about it, you can tell your wife is thinking about it. But she's still hesitating. Her gaze keeps wandering over everyone in the yard. You know she's worried about them leaving. The stuff at home won't be safe. You laugh it off and say it's fine. Hold on a sec. After saying that, you leave the kitchen with your kid in your arms. No idea what you said to those people. Everyone in the main room comes out. You even send Li Tiantian out. Li Tiantian actually wants to tag along with you three. She wants to check out the foot of the mountain. They say there are tigers up there. None of these educated youths dare go near. But seeing you aren't welcoming, she can't join. So she's left wandering around the village. On the road, you notice your wife keeps glancing at you, wanting to say something. You stop and look at him, waiting expectantly. Lin Qingsu gathers courage and says, Zhang Guo, can I go visit my parents' house tomorrow? We've been married so long. And the man beside me finally acts like a real husband. He knows how to earn money and support the family now. Lin Qingsu wants to visit her parents, just to calm her mom's worries, so her mom won't worry about her marriage anymore. You thought your wife spent all this time working up the nerve, so it must be a big deal. Turns out, this is what it was all about. You're holding your daughter with one arm, while holding your wife's hand with the other. I'll go with you to your parents' house tomorrow. Wait for me at home. Actually, you've gotten plenty of money from your mother-in-law before. Tomorrow when we go to town, let's sell the stones, as well as the polygonum and some venison. Those can get sold too. That should be enough to pay your debts. And maybe buy your mother-in-law a gift. Lin Qingsu can't believe he would actually say something like that. This is such a nice surprise. She can't help but nod and smile. Not long after, you take her to a lake filled with wild ducks. You stop and say, we're here. This lake, years ago, drowned more than a dozen naughty kids. People say water spirits hide in there. It's pretty creepy, so most people avoid it. No one dares get too close. But you don't believe in that stuff. You take off your shirt and lay it on the grass. Let your wife sit there with the kid. You even sprinkle some realgar and mugwort powder to keep bugs away. Lin Qingsu parts the weeds in front of her and gazes at the lake reflecting the blue sky and white clouds, along with the surrounding trees. Her eyes light up. Wild ducks are quacking in the grass. Lin Qingsu, excited, asks, did you get wild ducks here last time? You nod and say there should be duck eggs. It's exactly the egg-laying season. He pushes through grass taller than himself, walking toward where the ducks are calling. But before he gets close, the ducks sense movement and flap their wings, flying off. Lin Qingsu embarrassedly touches her nose. Oops, all the ducks are gone, but you brought her here just to relax. So you don't care and say, it's okay, you rest here. I'll go look around. You send her back and go into the grass to search carefully. You really do find quite a few wild ducks. They've built nests out of dry grass and feathers. Gray-green duck eggs are lying inside. There's a bunch of them. You grab a few and come back to show her. Hands empty. By now, Lin Qingsu is worried about carrying all the duck eggs. How do we take them all back? 4 hands aren't enough for a dozen eggs. Still so many we can't carry. To him who's always thrifty, it's a real shame. Lin Qingsu looks around the lake and sees lots of willow trees. She quickly gives you the kid and says, "Hold her for me. I've got an idea." He takes out a knife to cut some willow branches. After you figure out what he's doing, you set your daughter on a tree branch and help out with the cutting too. "I can do it myself," she says. "You might get hurt. Just hold the kid and wait. He's really fast." Soon there's a pile of willow sticks. He finds a flat spot. After cutting off the leaves, Lin Qingsu starts weaving the willow branches flat. While she's weaving, you just watch. You really can't help at all. Lin Qingsu quickly weaves the bottom of a basket. Suddenly, she remembers something. She looks up at the sky. She asks if you're hungry. You shake your head. "Not hungry." She rubs her stomach. "Sorry, but I'm a little hungry." You hurry up and say you'll hunt some birds for her to eat. "I'll roast a bird for you." "No need." Lin Qingsu takes 2 steamed buns from her cloth bag. "I brought some buns. Just heat them up and they're good to eat. You should eat too." You glance at the bag and nod slowly. Lin Qingsu smiles sweetly. She starts cutting hay by the lake, then makes a small fire. She heats up the buns on the fire, tells you to watch the fire, while she keeps weaving the basket. She doesn't stop for a moment. She's really fast. Just as the bun's aroma fills the air, the basket is done. She holds it up in front of you, showing off. What do you think? Does it look good? It's great. You've got amazing hands. You look up at her, take the roasted bun off the fire, and hand it to her. Lin Qingsu puts the basket down. She washes her hands in the lake. The 2 of you sit on a dead tree trunk by the lake, eating buns with the mountains and autumn sun. After you finish eating, you stand up, pick up the basket, and go alone into the grass to collect duck eggs. Since nobody ever comes here, wild ducks have few natural enemies, so they've been thriving. While Lin Qingsu is eating, you fill up a basket with eggs. Looks like you could fill 2 more baskets. But Lin Qingsu only takes 1 basket. Not being greedy, this is enough. Wait here a bit. I'm heading in deeper to see if I can hunt something else. You dive into the woods. Lin Qingsu, holding the baby, keeps watching the man moving through the trees. She sometimes sees his head pop up as he crawls carefully on the ground. When he's crawling through the grass, her heart is in her throat. The grass is so thick. What if there are snakes? What if he gets bitten by a snake? The more she thinks, the more she regrets it. The wait feels endless, and she gets anxious. When he pokes his head up again, he shouts from the bush for you to hurry up. "I don't want quail anymore. It's too far away." But you don't hear her at all, and dive back into the woods. Qingsu gets even more uneasy. She hugs the baby tight, bends down to pick up the shirt, clutches it in her hand, and stands at the foot of the mountain, staring off into the distance. You made sure to stay with your wife, and only went as far as the foot of the mountain. You didn't use a gun, but went with a slingshot instead. This is no ordinary slingshot. The frame is bent from heated steel rods, and it's been polished and tuned countless times. The band is made from top-grade rubber, feels heavy in your hand, solid and sturdy. Your eyes are sharp as a hawk's. You scan the sky, searching for a target. Just as the sun is setting, a wild goose slowly glides into view, flapping its wings, like it's hurrying home. "All right, you're mine." You take a deep breath, steady yourself, and raise your slingshot. Slingshots don't shoot far. The goose is flying high, but you have your own tricks. You let loose with a triple shot. The first stone flies into the air. The second one follows and hits the first. The third stone instantly crashes into the other 2, with a sharp whistling sound, chasing after the figure disappearing into the sky. Finally, the first stone, hit by the other 2, strikes the goose's wing dead on. The goose shudders hard, loses its balance. After circling in the air, it falls helplessly. You're flooded with excitement and pride.
He grips the slingshot tightly.
His eyes follow the goose falling down, until it lands steadily on the grass nearby. When you walk down with the goose, You see your wife carrying the baby hurriedly up the mountain. Once you see this, your heart leaps into your throat. The mountain path is super slippery. You quickly shout to warn them of danger. Don't go up there. The sudden shout makes Lin Qingsu stop in her tracks, startled. Her shaky voice calls you to hurry down. I don't want any quail anymore. I'm done eating them. Hurry down now. As she spoke, her eyes were getting red. He stayed by the grass, watching the mountain, seeing no movement for a while. He was terrified at that moment, afraid something would happen up in the mountain, wondering what he'd do if it did. He can't even imagine it. You also notice your wife is acting strange. You're in no mood to hunt anymore. Quickly reply, I'm coming out. Tell her to stand there and not move. Then hurry down to the foot of the mountain. You stride up to your wife with the goose in hand. Looking at her flushed eyes, you ask what's wrong. Are you cold? Come on, let's go home. Lin Qingsu says nothing, turns around and carries the kid ahead. Her uneasy, scared feelings linger. You honestly don't get it. Why did your wife suddenly get upset? She was fine when you left. It only took a moment, but her mood totally changed. You try several times to say something. You want to get your jacket and pants back, but she's got a stern face, holding the kid. Won't even look at you. No choice but to walk with your upper body bare, just in shorts, holding the goose, and a basket of duck eggs, following behind your wife. Passing old Li's house. Old Li is squatting on the doorsill, smoking his pipe, sees Zhao Laoxi's wife carrying the baby up front, and grabbing Laoxi's clothes. Looking at Laoxi next, a tall guy, like 6 feet, trailing behind his wife. He looks meek, as droopy as an eggplant after frost. How come he never noticed Laoxi acts so tough outside? But he's so timid in front of his wife. The young couple walk up. Old Li can't help joking. What happened, Laoxi? Got scolded by your wife. You stretch your neck to sneak a peek at your wife. Can't see her expression. Just notice her fair neck showing. Quickly look away. Smile at old Li. But don't dare say a word. You two head home, one after another. Toss the goose onto the ground. Rush forward to open the yard gate. When the gate opens, you stand aside thoughtfully. Wait for your wife to enter. Then bend down to pick up the goose and follow her inside. Lin Qingsu almost laughs at your silly look. Barely holds it in. Sits down with the child on a bench in the yard. Then realizes she's still holding your shirt. You're bare-chested, wearing just pants. And followed home like that. Suddenly remembers old Li's teasing. Why did she get upset with you anyway? Even forgot to give you your clothes. Sneakily glances at you. Sees you're not mad. Quietly fetching water. She gets up and tells you not to use cold water to wash. I'll boil some hot water for you, she says, holding her daughter in one hand, struggling to open the door. Wants to put her daughter in the small crib inside. Once your wife starts talking to you, you're instantly energized. You turn your head. See your wife struggling to open the door with your daughter. Quickly set down the wash basin. Hurry over. Step behind your wife. Take the key and put it in the lock. Quickly open the door. Look down at your wife in your arms. Feeling super happy inside. You look at your daughter. I'll shower and make food for you. Lin Qingsu doesn't answer. As soon as the door opens, she carries the baby inside. Puts her sleeping daughter in the little crib. Tucks her in. Lifts the curtain and comes out. Sees you barebacked, splashing cold water all over yourself. She can't stay mad at all watching that. Thinking, let him freeze. Walks over, grabs your shirt from the bench, sits back down, waits for you to finish and come in. Lin Qingsu takes your clothes to the well, fetches a bucket of water, starts washing your shirt and pants. Thinking while washing, when Ming will head to the city, should she bring their daughter along? Go to town first and buy him some thick clothes. It's already autumn. The weather gets cooler every day.
He's still wearing a thin shirt.
Up before dawn, running into the mountains. Early mountain air is wet and cold. How does he not feel chilly? He comes back with dirt on his pants every day. His shirt is muddy too. Guessing he crawls to gather herbs. You quickly rinse off. Your strong, tall body is soaked and freezing cold. Stride into the house, bending low. Grab your wife's towel. Rub down your body to dry off. Put on clean clothes and then come out. See your clothes for today already washed. Feeling warm inside. Having someone do your laundry feels so good. Having a wife is awesome. You clean and gut the goose you just caught. Decide to stir fry half and make soup with the other half for your wife. When Li Tiantian gets back, she happens to see you prepping a bird. Her sister-in-law is hanging up her brother's clothes. This scene changes her view of you again. Lin Qingsu had just set down her bowl. Aunt Zhang from the east side bursts in. Her daughter is about to get married. Needs someone literate to check out Li Dan's stuff. All those fancy words. So she thought of Lin Qingsu. Hurried over to get her help. Li Tiantian didn't want to be alone with a grown man. So villagers don't gossip. Goes along to help out. After eating, you start making wan oil. It's a rare medicinal herb. Great for skin hydration and healing. It treats burns and frostbite well. You notice it's pitch black outside. Can't see your hand in front of you. So you lock the door, carry the child in your arms, walk through half the village, arrive at Anzhang's place. Lin Qingsu saw you bring the kid over, thought something went wrong, quickly puts down what she's doing. He walks up to you, looks down at the baby in your arms. What's going on? He glanced at his wife and smiled, saying it's nothing. Came over to check things out. Said that, then grabbed a small stool and sat right down. Anzhang is pretty sharp. She picked up on something. Her smile was all teeth, eyes nearly gone. She looked at Lin Qingsu and said, "Your fourth brother. He's worried you'll be scared walking at night. He just doesn't feel at ease about you. Came here just to pick you up." Lin Qingsu listened to Aunt Zhang, glanced at the man sitting on the stool. Turns out that's exactly what's happening. Aunt Zhang loves to tease people. You can't really take her words seriously. Anyway, even if he knows you're afraid of the dark. Tian also came along. He didn't have to come all this way just for this. Thinking about this, Lin Qingsu said to the man on the stool, "You sit here and rest a bit. I'll be done soon." She finished speaking and went back to the table, tucked her head down to work and answered. While talking, his eyes were like glued to his wife, staring at her every move. Then Zhang Tiejin, munching on cornbread, pulled over a stool and sat next to you. "Fourth brother, I think sister-in-law is really great. Prettier than Huiji. Smart and classy too." When you heard Zhang Tiejin, you froze for a moment. Took a while to react. Trying to remember who Zhang Hui is. Feeling puzzled. Wondering why Tiejin suddenly brought her up. Tiejin saw you didn't say anything. Thought fourth brother still cared about Hui. Now he's anxious. If that's true, then sister-in-law really would feel wronged. She's been genuine with brother Zhengguo. Even though the family is dirt poor, she's stuck with him no matter what. That's real devotion. Thinking about that, Tiejin started persuading you, fourth brother, you shouldn't think about her anymore. Just live well with sister-in-law. I heard Huiji found someone in the city, working in the kitchen at a state restaurant. Now when she comes home, her nose is in the air. Doesn't even give people a proper look. All that in his tone is pure dislike. Tiejin really doesn't like Hui. Feels like she's arrogant just because she's decent looking. Acts like she's always above everyone. Even talks to people through her nose. If we're talking looks, Hui can't compare to fourth brother's wife now. Tiejin wishes he could get lucky like fourth brother. Marry a beautiful wife with fair skin. Just look at sister-in-law's figure. Doesn't look at all like she's had a kid. Fresh as a pickled cucumber. All bright and pretty. Just one look and you're hooked. Who the hell started this rumor? Saying I like someone like Hui. She's not even good enough to carry my shoes. Doesn't matter if it's past life or this one. When did I ever really pay attention to her? Why has this fake story spread all over the village? If my wife heard this, she's bound to seriously misunderstand. You kept watching your wife just now, noticing she never looked at you once. Made you feel even more uneasy. She was so close. She must have heard. Maybe she really doesn't care about you anymore. Thinking about this, you feel all blocked up inside. And stop being nice to Tiejin. When did I ever care about her? Which eye of yours saw me? Thinking about her, Tiejin saw your attitude. Scared, acting like a little kid. Hurried to smile awkwardly. Fourth brother, I was just saying, why are you getting so mad? Deep down, I really like you. You're famous as the tough guy in these parts. People see you and take the long way home. If you hadn't saved sister-in-law, no way you could marry someone that good. Look at him acting all meek. Clearly doesn't believe you. But you can't be bothered to argue. Angrily shout, "Get out of here." Taejin grabbed his stool and ran off quickly. Their whole conversation. Lin Qingsu heard every single word. She gripped her pen tight. Her knuckles turned white. No wonder he's been acting different lately. Turns out he has someone new in his heart. Now he's finally planning to live well with me. Trying to shut him up. Lin Qingsu felt sad inside. It hurt so much. On the way home, you carried the kid without caring much, while a third wheel tagged along. Li Tiantian followed behind, trying to explain. Wife, don't listen to Taejin's nonsense. I have nothing to do with Hui. I don't care for her kind. My heart's all about you. He sounded honest. Almost swore an oath right then. Li Tiantian followed a few steps back. Her ears stood up like antennas, curious about the drama. She looked at your tall build. Walking beside young sister-in-law. Your back was bent like a shrimp. Must be really scared his wife will misunderstand. Isn't this whipped husband syndrome? You saw your wife still ignored you. All anxious inside. Still can't figure out what she's thinking. Just drooped your head. Silently followed her home. Once home, you gently laid the sleeping kid in the crib. Covered him up nicely. Then, low-spirited like a wilted eggplant, slowly went to the kitchen to boil water. Your tall body crouched at the stove, poking the fire with a stick in your hand, cursing if I ever find out who was trash-talking me, spreading rumors behind my back. I'll beat him so bad his own mom won't recognize him. He shouldn't talk nonsense when he's bored. Isn't that just making trouble for himself? Right now, Lin Qingsu is sitting on a stool in the East Room, stitching a cotton jacket for her daughter thread by thread. It didn't take long. When you walked in carrying a steaming basin of water, you strode in quickly, bent down and gently placed the basin by your wife's feet, then squatted down. Your big hand grabbed her slender ankle, and your other hand started to take off her shoes. This move made Lin Qingsu stop her sewing. She looked up at the man squatting in front of her and asked, "What are you doing?" She tried to pull her ankle back, but your grip was too strong. She couldn't get free at all. Your rough, warm palm rubbed against her skin, making it feel a little itchy. She used to understand your temper, but now you seem harder to figure out. What are you really thinking? You kept your head down, still moving, and took off your wife's cloth shoes and muttered, "Wife, you've been tired all day. Let me soak your feet, help you relax a bit." Seeing she couldn't get away, Lin Qingsu just gave up struggling, her eyes dropping slightly, quietly watching the man in front of her, letting him take off her shoes. As her feet entered the warm water, her heart felt warm too. You've changed a lot lately, especially right now. You're actually helping me wash my feet. Before, I would have never dreamed this could happen, even when I was pregnant, with that big belly and so much trouble. You never did anything like this. Now I feel greedy in my heart, soaking in your gentle care, thinking about all that. She said to the man squatting and washing her feet, "Zenguo, I'm not mad at you. As long as you don't mess around anymore, I'll be satisfied." Her pale fingers ran through your short hair. Soft fingertips caressed gently. Hearing her words, you stayed silent, quietly rubbing your wife's soft, pale feet. Once they were clean, and you felt the water cool down, you picked up her feet and set them on your thigh, slipped her wet feet under your shirt, then grabbed the towel from your shoulder, took her foot out, and dried it off. Then you bent down and lifted her from the chair, carried her to the bed. "It's really late, stop working. Be careful with your eyes." As you spoke, you climbed onto the bed too. "Wife, I know I was a jerk before. I messed up a lot. I don't expect you to forgive me right away, but at least give me a chance to change. Trust me, okay?" Your words made Lin Qingsu's stiff body slowly relax. All she could breathe in was your warm scent, mixed with fresh hormones, making her heart feel cozy and warm. "After a long while," she replied so softly. "The got it, barely audible. But you heard it. Early in the morning, you got up before sunrise and headed to town. Caught the earliest bus to the city. This time, you didn't go back to the same pharmacy to sell things like dendrobium, deer antler, etc. These treasures, if you sell them to the same pharmacy too often, someone might get suspicious. So you picked a different pharmacy. The manager saw what you had and realized you're the young guy who's been selling big batches lately. He welcomed you with a smile and took you into a private room. Checked your goods carefully. and found no problems with what you brought. He didn't know how you keep getting supplies. But he's heard about you, so he didn't lower the price. You didn't expect it to go so smoothly. Counted.
How?
Easy it was. You counted the thick stack of cash in your hand, made sure the amount was right, stuffed it into your bag, and went to the state-run mall. You headed in, ready to pick out some health supplements for your mother-in-law, but unexpectedly, ran into a big shot from your past life, Secretary Wang, but you didn't know why he'd end up in such a small county. He looked so young and full of energy. It brought back old memories. In less than 10 years, he'll head to a city and get promoted to top leader. You thought about saying hi, but you two hadn't met in this life, weren't acquainted yet. If you just walked up and greeted him, it'd be weird. So you decided to let it go. If fate allows, you'll meet him again in S City. After all, you still plan to choose S City for your future, since that's where you lived for decades in your last life. Just as you were about to leave with your stuff, you heard a commotion by Secretary Wang and saw a crowd gathered to watch. You stopped,
Turned.
and walked over. A female clerk at the counter grabbed the sleeve of Wang Xingjun's yellow shirt and yelled loudly, "Hey, how can you be so careless? You broke something. Pay up. Don't think you can leave without paying." When Wang Xingjun turned just now, his clothes caught on the counter, and a plum blossom wristwatch fell to the ground and broke. He's an educated man, and faced with the clerk's rude attitude, his face flushed as he explained, "Comrade, you misunderstood. I'm not trying to run. I don't have enough cash on me. My car's parked outside. I'll go get the money and bring it back. Here's my work ID. I'll leave it here for you." The clerk took his ID and glanced at it, her face full of disdain. "Whose story are you fooling with a fake ID? Once you walk out that door, who do I complain to? You just want me to pay for it myself," she said, tossing the ID on the ground. You bent down, picked up the work ID, and handed it to Wang Xingjun, looking at the clerk.
How much?
"I'll pay for him." The clerk looked you up and down and gave you a mocking smile. "Do you even know how much it is?" These country folks talk big without knowing a thing. "It's 127 yuan and 50 cents. "Give me the money," she said, holding out her hand. Without a word, you pulled out a stack of cash and handed it to her. "Count the change." Looking at the money, the clerk was shocked, confused, and counted it again and again. Finally nodded. "All right, comrade. Hold on a moment." The crowd, seeing nothing interesting, let out a noise and quickly dispersed. Wang Xingjun pushed up his glasses, looking up at the man who's a head taller. "There were so many people watching just now. Not one was willing to speak up for me. But this guy jumped in to help without a word. Doesn't look rich judging by his clothes. That must have been a lot of money for him." Thinking about that, Wang Xingjun felt super grateful for this stranger. There really are good people in the world. "Thanks a lot for helping me out back there. I've got money in my car. My car's parked just outside. Could you come with me to get it?" You nodded and walked out together with Wang Xingjun. Sure enough, there was a black sedan parked by the road. Driving a sedan was a big deal in this era. Guess those rumors about his background are true. Wang Xingjun opened the car door, pulled out a bag from the car, counted the money and handed it to you. "Thanks again, buddy. Where are you headed?" "I'll give you a ride." You took the cash, shoved it in your pocket without even counting. Having so much stuff, riding with him's way easier than the bus. So you didn't turn him down, didn't bother with politeness. "All right, thanks for the help." Then gave your address to Wang Xingjun and hopped into the front passenger seat. On the way, these two, who normally never spoke, started chatting. No awkwardness or weird silence. On the contrary, it felt like old friends catching up. They totally clicked. At first, Wang Xingjun thought, this young guy was just an average person. But chatting made him realize he's not so simple. There's something really deep about him. He's young, but has a maturity you don't usually see at this age. It really seems like he's more than he appears. The thought popped into his mind. Maybe this guy will accomplish great things someday. The car stopped at the gate. You leaned over and stepped out, then grabbed the gifts for your mother-in-law from the trunk, bent down to thank Wang Xingjun in the car.
He smiled and said, "No worries."
"See you around, man." He glanced at your rundown adobe house, then turned the car around and drove off. You carried the stuff inside. And right away saw your wife was holding a man's jacket. You walked over and set the bags on the table. Noticed your wife trying to hide the jacket behind her back. Quick reflexes. You snatched the blue jacket right out of her hands, grinned and asked her, "Is this for me?" and slid the jacket on. Lin Qingsu saw you put on the jacket, but the collar was messed up. Without thinking, she walked over, stood on tiptoe, lifted her arm, and fixed your collar. Once she was done, she stepped back a few paces and looked you up and down. It fits perfectly in the shoulders and all, like it was tailored just for you. She hesitated a bit, then explained, "I thought it was getting chilly, so I took our daughter to town and bought you a new jacket." You could tell from her shifty eyes. She was feeling insecure, worried about this and that. You couldn't help smiling inside. She actually bought you clothes on her own. That's a first. You strode over, pulled her into your arms. "Thank you. Honey, I really like this jacket." As you were speaking, you noticed a third wheel in the room. Li Tiantian was holding both kids, her eyes wide as saucers, watching you kiss your wife. She was completely stunned. Standing there, this big grown-up. "Did you really not see me? Just witnessed something I shouldn't have. Am I gonna get a sty or something? When can I clear my name?" When Big Bro spaced out, her face went red and she forced a smile, then hurried into her own room with the kids. Lin Qingsu was breathless from your kiss, leaning soft against your strong chest, listening to your powerful heartbeat, softly asked, "Have you eaten? Are you hungry? I can cook." You led your wife into the bedroom, set her down in a chair, took out the cloth pouch you always carry. "Here, keep this safe." Lin Qingsu looked up at you, then looked down, and opened the still warm bag. When she saw all that cash inside, she quickly clutched it tight, glanced nervously at the door, made sure no one was outside, then got up and whispered, "How come there's so much?" She sounded a little scared. You bring back more and more every time. So she's happy but worried. She's afraid you're doing something shady. Seeing her so cute, you couldn't help laughing. "Oh, this is just the start. I'll be bringing home even more soon." You sighed softly. Happiness now feels just like a dream. You knelt in front of her, looking right into her eyes. "All right, honey. If you're uneasy, next time I head to town, come with me, okay? You'll see where the money comes from." Hearing you say that, Lin Qingsu just stared right at you, gazing for a long time, then finally nodded. When you saw she was reassured, you just couldn't resist, and kissed her on the forehead again. Then said, "Okay, pack up a little. Leave me $200. I'll borrow a bike, and take you home to see your folks later." Said it, then lifted the curtain and headed out. After you went out, Lin Qingsu looked at the thick stack of bills, scanning the room, feeling like nowhere was safe. She couldn't stay calm, hiding in the room alone. She checked several spots, but none felt secure. She rechecked her old hiding places, counted the money once more, and after making sure it was all there, she started worrying again, not knowing where to hide this cash, to keep it safe. You didn't get the bike, so you returned to the yard, sat down on a stone stool, pulled a cigarette from your pocket, struck a match, lit the cigarette, took a deep drag, and exhaled slowly. Thinking of taking the family out, you realized you needed transport. Walking didn't bother you, but you didn't want them to suffer. You wanted to borrow a bike for the visit, but forgot how rare they are these days. Even owners rarely ride them, so they never lend one out. You only thought about the house, and completely forgot about the transportation issue. After Lin Qingsu hid the money, she came out of the house, saw you smoking in the yard, and noticed there was no bike. Knowing you couldn't borrow one, she said, "Walking back is fine. We used to walk there anyway." You nodded, responding with a hum. You vowed to make more money soon. The house needed too many things. Around 2 p.m., Lin's mother was washing clothes, when a neighbor walked in, shouting excitedly, "Auntie, stop washing for a second. I saw your daughter and son-in-law." The whole village knew what kind of man her daughter married. Hearing the neighbor, she wiped her hands on her apron and rushed out in a hurry, wondering what happened this time. "Are they here for money?" She reached the door, saw the couple walking toward her, wondering why they both came today, and saw him carrying many bags. She went to meet them, feeling anxious. First, she checked on her daughter, saw her in brand new clothes, with a bright smile on her fair face, so different from her old worried look. Her heart finally settled down. She saw him carrying malted milk and fruit, plus a large piece of meat, a pheasant, and plenty of duck eggs. It clearly cost a fortune. Thinking of their situation, she couldn't help but complain. Coming home is enough for us. Why bring all these things? She quickly took the baby. Lin Qingsu smiled softly, but said nothing. They used to come empty-handed, but for the first time since marrying, they actually brought gifts. Though she was quiet on the way, she felt wonderful inside, beyond any words. You looked at your mother-in-law, and respectfully said, "Mom." The greeting startled her, so she forced a smile, and hurried you both inside. Neighbors gathered to watch, seeing the changes in you two, hardly believing their eyes. The couple both looked good, especially in those new clothes. They looked like wealthy city folks, visiting the countryside. But as neighbors, they knew better than anyone. Your family was dirt poor, struggling to survive. She led them into the house. Seeing the neighbors' shock, she saw it all clearly. She felt so proud, finally holding her head high. People used to mock her daughter, making fun of her marriage. Now she felt vindicated. She looked at her daughter, no longer in old rags, but in brand new clothes, even wearing rubber-soled shoes, clearly high-end stuff. Then she looked at you, no longer aggressive or stingy like before. You seemed composed now, like a completely different person, hardly recognizable. No wonder her daughter said you changed. You really had improved. Sitting down, Lin Qingsu asked, "Mom, where is my brother?" Her mother looked at the baby, fixing the baby's clothes, and smiled. "He's in town. Should be back any minute." Just as she spoke, Lin Mingliang pushed his bicycle in, returning home dusty. On the road, he heard his sister was visiting, wondering if you were causing trouble. If not for his sister, she'd never have married this poor man. Zhao Jianguo, the so-called hero, he parked his bicycle, saw you inside, and his face immediately darkened. His mother saw his expression, knowing exactly why. She tried to fix the mood. "Jianguo bought all this for me." Lin Mingliang glanced at the pile of gifts on the table and let out a cold snort. He grabbed a stool and sat down hard. He wanted to scold his brother-in-law, but didn't want to upset his mother. You knew your past mistakes, gave him every reason not to welcome you, so his cold attitude didn't surprise you at all. Then Zhao Shaoan came in with the kid. Seeing her brother, worry flashed in her eyes, but she forced a smile, wondering if his visit meant he was mooching again. Every time he came, he'd borrow money or things, shaming her before her in-laws, though her husband never complained about her brother's actions. That only made her feel more embarrassed. She wanted to mention the last time you hit her husband over money, but she swallowed her words. You saw the sorrow in her eyes and felt a pang of guilt. You knew well enough that for the past 2 years, she suffered because of you. In the past life, after your wife died, everyone cut ties with you. Only your sister, when you left, secretly gave you $20 and some warm-boiled eggs. So after you succeeded, she was too torn to stay in touch and didn't dare contact you until a villager told her, "My sister and her husband want to start a small business." So they bought that storefront they liked and rented it to them for next to nothing. The room went silent for a moment. Lin Qingsu also felt the vibe get awkward. For the past couple of years, the family only got by with help from her side. He patted his pocket and pulled out a wad of bills. Before, he didn't even know what you wanted the cash for. You told him on the way here, "These 200 yuan are to pay back what we owe Mom and my brother." When Lin's mom heard that, she was honestly surprised. This guy, whenever he borrowed money before, it was like throwing meat to a dog. Gone and never coming back. She never thought he'd actually pay it back. She just hoped he'd stay out of trouble. "Mom, Zhang Guo asked me to give you this," Lin Qingsu said as she shoved the cash into her mom's pocket. When Lin's mom saw all that money, she got flustered. She hurriedly freed up the arm holding the baby and stuffed the money back to her daughter. Put it away. Why carry so much cash? What if you lose it? What if you lose it? She asked. "Don't worry, Mom. I'll take care of it." Lin Qingsu smiled. "Don't worry. I'll take care of it." She asked. "What if you lose it? What if you lose it?" Her tone had some scolding in it. You didn't expect your mother-in-law to react like that. So you quickly said, Mom, you've got to take this. I used to be immature. From now on, I'll take good care of Chinking. If you don't take the money, I won't feel right. Lin's mom's pupils shook a little. She couldn't figure out how so much could change in just a few days. How could someone turn their life around like that? She looked at her daughter, who smiled and gestured for her to accept the money. Finally, feeling mixed, she put the cash away. Mom will save it for you for now. If you ever need it, just come ask me anytime, Lin's mom said. Lin Mingliang looked at you, utterly lost. He kept wondering to himself. He took in how put together his sister looked, his eyes lighting up. She wasn't the lifeless person she used to be. Since Sis is saying this, I'll trust you one more time. So he told his wife Yenner, go whip up some snacks for drinking. When Lin Qingsu heard they were going to drink, she instantly got worried. Little bro, we've got to head home soon. We left a bunch of cash at home. No one's watching the house. That makes me uneasy. Plus, she worried you'd get drunk and start acting up again. Lin Mingliang waved his hand. Don't worry, sis. We'll go easy. It won't stop you from heading home. Lin Qingsu saw her brother wouldn't listen, so she turned to you, hoping you wouldn't drink either. Noticing your wife's signal, you cracked a grin, showing a mouthful of big white teeth. It's fine, babe. Don't worry at all. I know my limit with booze. Hearing that, Lin Qingsu felt a bit unhappy. She shot you a look, then took her nephew from her sister-in-law's arms and sat down to the side in a huff, not saying another word. Xiao Shaoang got busy and set up a table in the yard for them. She brought out her husband's secret stash of white liquor. The two men didn't say a word of nonsense. They poured the liquor, clinked bowls, and downed it in one go. Sitting in the living room, Lin Qingsu held her nephew, totally absent-minded. She kept glancing outside, worried, watching the way her brother drank with you. She couldn't relax. Lin's mom watched her daughter's every move, not missing a thing. Seeing how much she cared about you, she figured the couple must be doing better lately. Watching all this, she finally felt relieved. The two men out in the yard, after a bowl of liquor, finally started talking. Lin Mingliang let out a strong boozy breath,
his cheeks turning unnaturally red.
His eyes looked a little dazed. He lifted his arm, put it around your shoulder, and said, Brother-in-law, the only reason I'm drinking with you tonight is for my sister's sake. I won't mention what happened before. All I hope from now on is that you treat my sister well. Otherwise, I swear I'll put my life on the line. The Lin siblings are really close. Last time Lin Qingsu jumped in the river, Lin Mingliang nearly beat you to death. If their mom hadn't stopped him, afraid her son would end up in jail, her little brother really would have killed you to get revenge for his sister. You nodded, didn't say a word, and picked up your bowl. Then you tilted your head back and downed the 2 ounces of baijiu. That liquor was super spicy. It burned all the way down your throat, making your stomach feel like it was on fire. Lin Qingsu couldn't sit still anymore. She walked out carrying the baby and yelled at you, Hey, are you coming home or not? When you heard your wife, you quickly put your glass down. A smile flashed on your face and you said you were done drinking. This little bit of booze was nothing for you. You didn't know if it was the joy or the alcohol hitting, but you felt a little dizzy. Lin Qingsu went to pull you away, revealing on her forearm a bruise that was hard to miss. Lin Mingliang noticed immediately. His eyes turned sharp. Anger surged in his chest. He shot up, snatched his glass, grabbed you by the collar, and angrily yelled, What did you do to my sister? What's with the injury on her arm? You say you've changed? To me, a dog can't stop eating crap. You haven't changed a bit. His sudden outburst completely caught you off guard. Lin Mingliang was really drunk and losing it. Looking at Lin Qingsu's wrist, it finally clicked. You quickly try to explain, but you trail off. It was indeed your doing, but not what Mingliang thinks. Your hesitation only confirms his suspicions. He refuses to listen, believing only his eyes. Lin Qingsu was always fragile. Seeing those marks on her wrist, he was heartbroken and furious. He throws a punch at you, cursing, You bastard! How dare you bully my sister? The blow makes you stumble back, nearly falling over. You hold your aching cheek, but you don't fight back. You just keep repeating it's a mistake. I didn't bully your sister. Seeing this, Lin Qingsu rushes to pull her brother back, explaining frantically, "Brother, you're wrong. I did this to myself by accident. It has nothing to do with him. Please stop hitting him. Sister, just tell me the truth. Worst case, just get a divorce. Our family can still feed you. It's fine if you stay single forever." Lin Qingsu was touched, but he really was mistaken. Blushing deeply, she whispered to Zhao Xiaoyan. After hearing it, Xiaoyan looked at her in shock. Seeing her certain gaze, she whispered it to Mingliang. Mingliang looked at his sister. She nodded to him. Xiaoyan's words seemed true. He slowly let go of your collar. Though his anger hadn't fully faded, he just barely held it in. As for his misunderstanding, you found it quite normal. You were a jerk in your past life and hit Qingsu often. That's why you didn't fight back. Qingsu looked at your bleeding lip, feeling a pang of pity. She knew her brother was just protecting her, but she also knew you were innocent. She gave you a sharp look. If you weren't so wild, he wouldn't have misunderstood. After whispering with Xiaoyan, Mingliang was still skeptical. How could that hurt her arm so much? But seeing his sister's shy face, it seemed to be the truth. Mingliang didn't want to apologize. He just snarled, "If you hit her, just you wait." "I won't. I'll treat her well." You promised repeatedly. After this ordeal, his attitude toward you changed. His brother-in-law was once a terror, scaring even the local dogs. But he didn't fight back today. He just stood there submissively, looking at his sister pitifully. On the way back, you felt quite excited. Leaning your tall frame over, you rested your chin on her shoulder, repeatedly mumbling, "Wife." Luckily, the road was empty, so she wasn't too embarrassed. She wondered why you were acting tipsy again. Before, when you were drunk, you were incredibly strong. If things didn't go your way, you would take it out on her. But now, following her like this, you were very clingy, holding her hand and whispering. Your warm breath tickled her neck. Near the village, she stopped walking. She turned to you and said, "Stand up straight. Walk properly." She adjusted her daughter in her arms, carrying her the whole way. Her arms were getting sore. You kept wanting to hold the girl, but you had been drinking, so she didn't dare let you. Even if your gait was steady, it was pitch black out. She wouldn't take the risk. Scolded by your wife, you stood up and followed her obediently. The next day, you headed to the mountain. Your main goal today was to test your theory. Days ago, you picked wild celery to use as seasoning at home, but couldn't put it in a space. You thought the space was broken, but other things were fine. You didn't dare eat it, taking it to the clinic instead. The doctor told you it wasn't wild celery, but poison hemlock. They look very similar, but the hemlock is fully toxic. If eaten, it causes burning and swelling, diarrhea and breathing issues. It can kill within 10 hours. You gave the doctor cigarettes and a rabbit to thank him for saving your life. Before you left, the doctor secretly gave you a book on herbs. He warned you not to eat random things and gave you some bug repellent. You suspected the space filter's toxins. Walking on the lush path, you bent down often, searching through the grass. Soon you found many mushrooms. Some looked like tasty shiitakes. You picked and threw them into the space. Just as you suspected, the colorful, obviously toxic ones wouldn't go in. This was a secondary function. Besides plants, you wanted to test animals. You moved nimbly through the forest, cautious and quick. Whenever leaves rustled nearby, you reacted instantly, loading your slingshot with a marble. With incredible speed and accuracy, the marble pierced the brush, hitting snakes hiding in the shadows. The snakes writhed in pain, and then went still. You tested a snake with its tongue cut, and one with its tongue still on. Only the one without its venomous part fit. You picked up a viper, pressing with your fingertips, until you felt a hard lump in its belly. Then you took a small knife from your bag, slit the belly, and found the gallbladder. You tied it off and cut it out, peeling away the extra tissue, and carefully tucked it away. Gallbladders and meat can be stored separately. After finishing, you looked at the remaining meat, wiping your hands with a cloth. You wondered, I wonder if my wife eats snake. The meat is quite delicious. I'll take it back and ask. If she won't eat it, I'll sell it at the market. Luckily, I have the space. Otherwise, these are hard to keep. You took a bottle of liquor from the space, and dropped the gallbladders inside. Besides drying them, soaking in alcohol is the best way. Suddenly, in the nearby woods, two clear pheasant calls rang out, sounded especially loud in the quiet forest. After a brief pause, you quickly grabbed the slingshot and a marble from your waist. Whoosh! The marble drew a smooth arc in the night, like a shooting star crossing the dark sky. Fast and accurate, it flew out. A pheasant hopping happily in the woods had no time to react. Got struck by the speeding marble. Its body instantly went limp. It dropped to the ground, unable to move. You quickly walked over, gently picked up the pheasant. Marble still stuck. Chicken stewed with mushrooms. A perfect match, wife. I'm back. You set two baskets down in the yard. Lin Qingsu took a glance. Not bad today, huh? As you washed your hands, you asked Lin Qingsu, honey, do you eat snake meat? Lin Qingsu eyed the big dark green snake. Just looking at it made him sick. Not to mention eating it. If you don't eat it, I won't cook it. Seeing how quick Lin Qingsu refused, you knew he couldn't stand it. So you stuffed the snake back in the basket, a bit disappointed. Covered it with grass, so your wife wouldn't see it. After washing your hands, you took out the mushrooms you picked to dry them. Washed the wild veggies too. Set some aside to dry for storage. And the rest to make pickles. You cook pretty fast. Soon called Lin Qingsu to eat. Django, why is this soup so tasty? Lin Qingsu asked, curious. It's a soup made with wild veggies and mushrooms from the mountain. I picked a lot today. Winter's almost here. Better to pick and dry more now, so we can eat them in winter too. So good, Lin Qingsu couldn't stop praising, grabbing dishes and talking at the same time. Actually, he couldn't eat that much. One pancake was enough, and a bowl of soup filled him up. But you can't just pick these plants at random. Some are poisonous. If someone doesn't know and eats them, they could get poisoned and die. You warned Zhengguo. How do you know all this? Lin Qingsu asked, curious. Guess it's the power of knowledge. I just know if something's poisonous. Lin Qingsu didn't ask more. You're good like this. Much better than before. He really liked it. The next evening, you took a bath, changed into clean clothes, and took Lin Qingsu to your fourth uncle's house. The groom is your distant uncle's son. In our village, weddings are tomorrow, but tonight is for close family. Everyone sits down for dinner. Men have their own table to drink. Women have a table for eating and chatting. Just then, fourth aunt came to the ladies' table with a jar. This is our homemade sweet wine. Not very strong. Won't get you drunk. Drink more, she said with a smile. She knew you were a big deal, and really doted on your wife. Didn't want to offend you. Fourth aunt took the bowl in front of Lin Qingsu first, and poured him a bowl. Come on, Qingsu, have some. It's sweet, not spicy. Lin Qingsu looked at the fruit wine in the bowl, picked it up and took a sniff. Had a hint of fruity sweetness. Took a sip. Not exactly sweet. A bit sour too, but tastes pretty good. Not too strong after swallowing. Feels more like soda than alcohol. At this moment, the wife of Zhang Wang's family couldn't help it. Got brave and leaned toward Lin Qingsu's ear. Whispered Qingsu, keep an eye on your man. Take a look at Hui. She left the ladies' table to sit with the men and sat next to your Zhengguo. Trying to flirt, Lin Qingsu followed her gaze and glanced at Nangxi not far away. Saw Zhang Hui shyly, pouring drinks for all the men, looking like a fawning little puppy. She looked away, smiled at the woman next to her, but said nothing. The woman noticed she didn't seem to care, and felt like Lin Qingsu was different today. God knows, when fourth aunt saw you brought her here to the feast, she was scared to death, afraid someone might say the wrong thing, and cause a big scene. Recently, the two daughters-in-law of the Wang family rarely left the house, their faces swollen like pig heads. Rumor is they bad-mouthed Lin Qingsu and got beaten by Zhao Zhengguo up close. Looking at her nearby, Lin Qingsu had such delicate features. Skin so fair you could almost pinch water from it. Her figure couldn't be better. Even a faint fragrance lingered. Not just men. Even as a woman, she couldn't look away. It's really strange. Both women. How come she's born this good-looking? Lin Qingsu noticed the Wang wife staring, raised her fruit wine and said, Wang sis, let's have a drink. When the Wang wife heard her call her sis, her honest, tanned face lit up with a smile. She raised her glass and drank with her. Girl, if you need anything, just tell me. I've only been here a year longer than you, but I know all the village stuff. The women at the table saw how easygoing city wife Lin Qingsu was, and all felt relieved. No longer so stiff like before. Actually, everyone could chat a bit. On Nangxi's side, Jiang Hui sitting by your side, kept nudging your leg under the table, trying to touch you now and then. When she noticed you dodging, she wouldn't even give you a glance. She couldn't believe you didn't care at all. On purpose, Jiang Hui drank a little to seem drunk, and kept leaning on you. But every time you quietly dodged her. Instead, the more you did, the more unwilling she became. When the banquet was over, Wang's wife saw Jiang Hui clinging to you, and called out for Zhang Guo. Come here, looks like your wife is drunk. When you heard that, you got up and strode over. You reached out and took her back from Wang's wife. You wrapped one arm around her slim waist, glancing at the wine jug on the table. You asked, did you give her alcohol? Wang's wife laughed. It was just some fruit wine auntie made. She just had a little. Who'd think she'd get drunk from just that? By now, Lin Qingsu was leaning limply against your chest. Her pretty narrow eyes were hazy with drunkenness. Her face, pale with dark hair and red lips, was flushed. Her soft, rosy lips parted gently, and she whined at you, wanting a hug. As she said this, her pale, slender arms wrapped around your muscular, perfect waist. Her move made the more conservative women nearby a bit embarrassed. Honestly, you didn't expect it. But your wife is actually pretty cute when she's drunk. Ignoring everything else, you picked her up around her waist, stepping steadily out of Uncle's house. You were going to pick up the kid from your sister-in-law's, but seeing your wife like this, you decided not to go. On the way back, Lin Qingsu kept acting up in your arms. Her soft, fair hands kept wandering all over you, and she yanked a button off your white shirt. Now you're missing a button. You almost lost control and had her right there outside. You held back again and again, barely managing to restrain yourself. Luckily, it was nighttime, so it was dark and no one was around. You carried her inside, walked into the bedroom, bent down and gently set her on the bed. Then you squatted in the yard to keep watch. You took a cigarette from your pocket, lit it and held it between your lips. You leaned back and took a deep drag. Building a new house really can't wait any longer. The next day, Lin Qingsu was woken by the sound of firecrackers. Eyes still sleepy, she pushed herself up, still leaning weakly against the bedhead, trying to remember last night. She went to Uncle's for dinner and drinks. She thought the wine was tasty, so she drank a little more. After that, everything's a blur. Outside the bedroom, you heard movement. You came to the door. Wife, are you up? King Shang's new bride is almost here. Get ready. I'll take you to see the new bride. In the room, Lin Qingsu, dressed and ready, lifted the curtain and came out. She asked, where's our kid? Always relying on sister-in-law isn't right, is it? It's fine. Sister-in-law said she doesn't like crowds. We'll pick her up later. Happily, she freshened up a bit in the yard and went with you to check out the fun. At King Xiang's house, the courtyard was packed. The place was buzzing. As soon as you arrived, Jiang Hui spotted you. At over 6 feet tall, you stood out in the crowd. Lin Qingsu felt a little shy, but you didn't mind at all. You grabbed Lin Qingsu's arm and had her link arms with you. She's your legal wife. So what's wrong with the linking arms? You glanced at her holding your arm, then looked away and said, no more drinking with others from now on. Your deep, magnetic voice sounded strict. When your man said that, Lin Qingsu didn't really get it and just looked up at him, unfazed. Then she saw your open shirt collar and the bite mark you couldn't quite hide, with faint scratch marks still there. She blanked for a second. Did I really act wild after drinking last night? Thinking of how she wore your shirt this morning, she thought she was thick-skinned now, but still somehow, her cheeks started to burn with embarrassment. You lowered your gaze, noticing the red blush on her pale cheeks, quietly wondering, is she really blushing? Lin Qingsu met your eyes, saw your curious look, and shot you an annoyed glare. What are you staring at? Then she pinched your waist hard and said frankly, you can only look at me. Did you hear me? Seeing that, the corners of your lips curved up, a little exaggerated. You glanced at his new clothes, looked away, and gazed at Li Cheng's newlywed couple. Every move you two made was noticed by Jiang Hui nearby. Right now he felt terrible inside, thinking everything Lin Qingsu had should have been his. He regretted it. He regretted believing his family saying Zhang Guo was just a punk and not chasing her harder, no matter what.
He couldn't just let a great guy like Zhang Guo go.
Looks or skills, Zhang Guo was better than the current match from blind dates. By far, no matter what, he needed to win Zhang Guo back. With Zhang Guo's abilities, meat on the table every day, and new clothes wouldn't be a problem. Thinking of all that, Zhang Hui straightened her clothes with one hand and tightened her ponytail. She pushed through the crowd to stand in front of you two. With dreamy eyes, she said, Zhang Guo, have a soda. As she spoke, she held out a soda bottle to you, one hand in her pocket, the other hand resting on your arm. You glanced at Zhang Hui and shrugged. You drink it. I'm not thirsty. Just then, someone in the crowd started teasing the groom. At a key moment, the groom pushed the bride into the crowd. Some young, unmarried kids instantly went wild. The yard got louder and messier. You quickly pulled your companion close, shielding her from the crowd, carefully guarding him as you got out of the chaos. Once outside, your dark eyes gave her a once-over. Did anyone bother you? Seeing her shake her head, you relaxed. Holding her soft white hand, you headed home. Meanwhile, Jiang Hui got stuck in the crowd. She felt several hands groping her in the chaos. Not even married yet, she was shocked and felt humiliated. She tried to leave, but someone shoved her back in. In all the mess, her shirt buttons got pulled open by someone, revealing her white tank top underneath. Frantic and scared, she covered her chest, tears in her eyes, not sure what to do, trying to spot her crush in the crowd. Then she realized he'd already left with Lin Qingsu. Suddenly, she felt like breaking down and couldn't help but cry out, Zhang Guo! I'm still here. But the noise drowned her out. Lin Qingsu's eyes were glued to her old man. Seeing his sharp profile, she had to admit he looked good. No wonder Jiang Hui wouldn't give up. Wants to be a stepmom to her own daughter. So she wasn't watching her step and stumbled. Her body pitched straight forward. You reacted fast, reaching out your arm, wrapping it around her slim waist, pulled her right into your arms. You frowned and said coldly, watch your step. She's pressed against your broad chest. Lin Qingsu finally sighed in relief, thankful she didn't fall flat on her face. Totally ignored what you said. Walked arm in arm with you side by side. Still couldn't stop staring at you. Meanwhile, after the groom's fiasco at the Qingshan house, people left. Jiang Hui's clothes were a mess, all torn up. Too many people were there at the time. No one would admit to taking advantage of the chaos. Even though Jiang Hui cried her eyes out, the onlookers just stood there. Not one person spoke up for her. After Jiang Hui's mom found out, she hurried over, grumbled, and took her daughter home. Word spread quickly in the village. Somehow it reached Jiang Hui's fiancé. When he heard about it,
He didn't stand up for her.
he just broke off the engagement. Soon it became village gossip. Months later, on the day the new house was finished, most of the village showed up. You're up on the ladder, placing the last main beam yourself, setting it in place nice and steady. Firecrackers go off with a bang. Red confetti falls like petals, landing on the fresh brick walls. The two-story house shines brand new in the autumn sunlight. The glass windows are sparkling, first of its kind in Zhaojiawa. You're standing in the yard, holding your daughter in your arms. But your eyes keep searching the crowd. Lin Qingsu's wearing a red sweater, standing by the stove, serving food for the helpers. Steam rises from the big pot, stewing wild boar you hunted 2 days ago. The smell fills the whole village. He's so busy he's sweating, cheeks flushed. He glances at you from time to time, but always quickly looks away. Li Tiantian walks over with a bowl to Lin Qingsu. She whispers, Sis-in-law, look at the way my brother looks at you. Like he can't take his eyes off you. Lin Qingsu doesn't answer, but her ears turn red. After it gets dark, the helpers gradually leave. The new house isn't totally dry yet, so the three of you still sleep in the east room of the old house. Your daughter is fast asleep in her little bed. You're lying on the kong, moonlight shining through the window, looking at the person curled up in your arms. Lin Qingsu's laying her head on your arm. Her breathing is soft, still carrying the day's warmth. You lower your head and kiss the top of her hair. She doesn't wake, just snuggles closer. You lay there with your eyes open, staring at the smoke-stained beam on the ceiling, thinking of your past life. At this time, you were probably lying drunk at some gambling table, having lost your last penny, totally unaware that your wife and kid were home, hungry. But now she's right here in your arms, with warm, steady breaths. Suddenly you feel this life is luckier than all the money you ever won. Early the next morning, it's barely dawn. You get up already. In the kitchen, you slice the leftover wild boar thin, crack 2 eggs, steam up a bowl of egg custard. When Lin Qingsu comes out carrying the baby, breakfast is already set on the table. After breakfast, I'm heading to the county. You put a piece of meat in his bowl. Need to settle up the last payment at the brick factory. Maybe find some good lumber to make decent furniture. Lin Qingsu nods. He keeps eating, doesn't say anything. You look at him. You know he doesn't want you to leave, but he's too shy to say. So you pinch his cheek. I'll be back before dark. Lin Qingsu glares at you, but doesn't dodge. After you leave, Lin Qingsu walks around the yard with the baby. The new house's windows don't have glass yet. Plastic sheeting keeps out the wind. She stands in front of it, peeking in through the thin plastic. It's empty inside, but it's no longer dark or filthy like before. The walls are dazzling white, smooth concrete floors. Sunlight streaming through the window lights up the whole room. She suddenly remembers her first year married. Lived in this old house. Wind came through in winter, leaked when it rained in summer. She'd curl up in a corner of the Kong, listening to you stumble in, drunk, kicking the door, shaking in fear. She thought that's just how life would be. Just get by one day at a time. And if she couldn't, just die. But now, she looks down at the sleeping girl in her arms, then at the 2 new brick rooms. Feels like a dream. At dusk, you ride back on your new bicycle, with a bundle of wood strapped to the back, and a bag of brown sugar on the handlebars. As you enter the yard, Lin Qingsu is sitting in the sunset with the baby. Her red sweater looks extra warm in the last rays. You park the bike and walk over to, take the baby your other hand, holds hers as you lead her into the new house. Come in and take a look. You push open the wooden door. Inside, it's almost all ready. A new square table stands in the main room, bought through a contact from the town. The Kong in the back room is done too, with new bedding from the county. Lin Qingsu stands at the bedroom door, looking at the window covered with white paper. Suddenly remembers something, and softly says, "If only life had been this good from the start." You don't let her finish. Hug her from behind. Rest your chin on her shoulder. From now on, life will always be this good. The little girl in your arms wakes up, her bright eyes open. She stretches her tiny hands, babbling. Lin Qingsu looks down at her. Her lips curl into a smile. Outside, it's completely dark now. Someone in the distance lit a lamp. Dim light shines through the paper windows. A dog barks in the village. Then it's quiet again. You put your wife and daughter in your arms, listening to them breathe, and suddenly you feel totally at peace. Last life you had everything, except for them. This life you don't need anything else. As long as you have them, it's enough. You hear footsteps outside. It's Li Tiantian coming back next door. She carefully knocks on the living room door. Big brother, sis-in-law. I'm back. Lin Qingsu slips out of your arms, blushing as she goes to open the door. You stand there, watching her leave. Suddenly you call, "Wife." She turns around, confused. You just smile. She glares at you, then goes to talk to Li Tiantian. You hold your daughter, stand by the window in the new house, looking out at the dark night. The girl babbles away. Her little hands grab at your face. You kiss her soft cheeks. Whisper, "Nuan Nuan. Our good days are just beginning."